Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Days Gone second Spoilercast from the GigaBoots Podcast Network. We've yet again ventured to talk about this important title in 8th Gen Gaming, and I'm glad to bring on an extra with us this time. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and with me is Bob.
Yeah, wow.
From GigaBoots, KZ from KZExcellent.com.
I don't know why Phil keeps pushing for this content.
Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
Okay, so we're going to get all the smart people and put them in a box and then lock it forever. And that's our plan to save humanity.
That's China, Illinois. That is an episode of China, Illinois. Now then, Dr. Aggro is the new addition to our crew. Thank you for coming on, Dr. Aggro.
Deacon St. John, how's my favorite bounty hunter?
Well, for people who are joining us for the first time on Days Gone Spoilercast, an ongoing series question mark.
Please no.
What we'd like to do is open up by saying a couple sentences about the game, making a guttural sound to vaguely gesticulate how we feel about the game. And then we move on to talking about anecdotes, our experiences with it, being transparent about how we feel about it past the sound bit because it's funny. And then towards the end of this in-depth discussion of what is Days Gone, we will do a couple sentences, a few sentences, and give our scores out of a potential 10 each, making up to a maximum of 50 points.
Ooh.
It's very exciting. So, let's get the shit on the road. Let's get low.
In the shit.
Yes, we got to get into the shit. We're going to start with Mr. Feel. Mr. Feel, how did you feel about Days Gone the second time?
I'm really glad I played through Days Gone a second time. I could really appreciate Sam Witwer's performance because I am no longer stunned by the things he is saying and doing and could, take into account how his performance was. Also, the game now runs correctly and is in 4K, so it actually looks all right most of the time. They didn't fix as many bugs as I expected in the 2 years since it came out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
My sound is,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Feel. We're going to move on to Bob. Bob?
Days Gone is kind of... It's not what I expected. I expected things to happen sometime in the first 75% of the game. That didn't happen. Also, it maybe has the worst weapon wheel ever made. I'm going to give it a...
We're now going to go to Dr. Aggro.
Playing through Days Gone is like walking through the remains of a half-finished cathedral that was pillaged by marauders who then set up a farmer's market inside. What? Huh.
KZ?
You know, there was such a long stretch where nothing ever happened ever in Days Gone that when you hit the last 20% of the game where stuff's happening every 5 minutes, I started getting Stockholm Syndrome going, was I too mean to the first part of this game? Because it became a normal video game. And I started getting confused. I'm going to give it a, what?
Days Gone is really interesting in the position it holds in the Sony pantheon of first-party titles for 8th Gen. And I don't regret seeing it all the way through. It really was a trip. Okay, and with that out of the way, we can now start talking about the shit. My favorite thing in the lasting influence Days Gone will have on me is the fact that you eventually, throughout the game, realize Deacon isn't the only one who calls everything outside of the camps the shit. Everyone calls the whole world outside of the camps the shit.
Yes, everyone has the same, terminology for everything. Like, you'll watch The Walking Dead, and there are, 4 or 5 different names for zombies in that. Like, walkers, biters, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Here, everyone calls them freaks.
Yeah, they're all freakers, but keep in mind, the swarmers are different from the breakers, which are different from the reachers.
Yeah, there are
and
classes.
The reachers really good, introduced in the last 5% of the game.
Yeah,
I don't even remember the Reachers.
So you remember
remember them.
You remember when you go into that cave And
Oh yes, I
O'Brien's-
remember that mission.
Yeah.
I rember that mission. I just
And
was
then
like,
they
oh,
just-
that's not a normal enemy. I just killed all of them and then left.
Yeah, it's funny because they're like, there's this new super evolved freaker. You got to go in this cave to deal with it. And then it comes in, and then I headshot it with the super rifle, and it kills it in one hit. But it had a boss health bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know how to balance this video game at all.
They really do not.
Yeah, I feel like one of the most outstanding things about this game, and not in a good way. It is one of the most outstanding, as in, like, it stands out.
It does. It stands out in the shit.
It is exceptional in this way. This game can't have a high level play. they didn't design it right for that. So
It can't have a high skill ceiling.
yeah, like they make you do the hordes, and the solution for the hordes is, well, lure them next to a red barrel, blow up the red barrel, and quite frankly, you can just keep running and throwing pipe bombs and shooting them with a good gun from there. You
Yeah,
don't have to engage with this playground that they make for a few of the giant hordes.
Yeah, there's this. This is the centerpiece of the game, because when they revealed the game and did a demo, they're like, here's the sawmill, and here's the horde, and here's all the things you can do. And that's the last one you do. But they make you, after getting the ultimate weapon to take them out, Molotov but bigger. They're like, go in and take this out. And you guys had been alluding to me, this is the worst mission in the game, where you would talk around it, going, this Molotov thing where you respawn on a hill's the worst. And then I hit it, and then you came in to watch me do it.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I didn't reach it at the same time as Bob either. It wasn't the sawmill one. It was the one with the small village.
Yes.
Bob hit it before me, and he's like, yeah, you're about to sometime down the road hit the worst mission in the game. And I'm like, I can't imagine any one mission being worse than the other, because when he's telling me this, the game to me was bad stealth, walk and talk, and occasionally a segment where I would have to kill 9 dudes.
Yes.
That's most of the game.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
And then you hit that mission in the village where it's just like, we got to try out this super bomb. It's so good, it takes down 6 zombies.
And
You
they're
have to
like,
kill 700.
Yeah, you have to kill 700 of them, and they're naturally faster than you.
Yes.
So once you run out of stamina, there's really like no real hope. Like, you'll watch that demo they did in 2016, and it's like you're faster than them. So it actually feels really easy to run a little bit, turn around, shoot. Here, that's a big risk, but also a big reward, because you can just turn on focus and like machine gun them down, which you were shocked at like how good those guns are from the final camp.
I went through that fucking encounter at the small village with the second, like the in-between tier of gun, all rifles, nowhere near enough ammo. So when I see KZ pull out, what was it? Chicago Town Repeater?
That is the
typewriter.
Chicago Chopper. The
That
Chicago
shit-
Chopper is what it's called, and that's also carried me.
And
That fucking, I lost it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Any level of difficulty I thought this game had is just gone.
And I have 6 focus upgrades, because I was trying to get as many of the Nero encampments that give you permanent stat boosts as I could. So I'm just really gunning them down, and I turned on EXP notifications, so it gives me good brain chemicals of seeing all the pop-ups. But between that and like 12 stamina upgrades where they're like, you didn't get the thing that fills it fast. I'm like, no, I just have 400 endurance.
Yeah.
That is fascinating, because I had pretty much an opposite build in that game.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't worry about focus too much, because I used all the single shot rifles, so I never needed much focus to kill anything. And I didn't focus too much on stamina, because like up until it made me fight that horde, I'd never really had to run on foot very far. So
Right. Like, I also was dead on stamina until I hit that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I took on that horde by like going around the truck stop that's between you and it, and like running through like the ditch with the water, and then you come up right next to the horde, and there's a bush there, and if you crouch in that bush, the horde will never find you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So I just kept
really
hucking
funny.
attractors, pipe bombs, and growlers like 1, 2, 3 until there were enough that I could just jump up and rifle them down.
Yeah, I do like the build variance between us, because I didn't get a single health upgrade in the entire game. I stayed at 100 health.
Oh,
which
that was the first thing I upgraded.
I was like, nah. I'm like, fuck it, because high endurance and high focus is great, especially toward the end of the game, because you have the anti-material space rifle or whatever, where it looks like a fucking Halo gun on your back. Just having all
the
of them.
BMG,
Yeah, just
the 50 cal.
Yeah, just holding them all like I'm Cloud Strife. That I have a big magnet on my spine. And I pull that out, I turn on focus,
so
and
good.
I've popped off 5 guys in the as my opener, and some of them have like the battle helmet. It's like pop, pop, because the sniper rifle is like semi-auto. I can just hold and it just goes shoot, 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 shoot.
Yeah, but I feel like we just covered, the rest of the game does not prepare you for this at all.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It is now a mandatory story mission.
Yeah, the
um,
mandatory Horde story mission is insane, where it's like, clearly you should have done these earlier, but then it's in the last 10%, and then they're like, we've now marked them on the map when they make you go back
No,
to the old
KZ.
regions.
No, KZ, you weren't supposed to be doing this earlier. I did the sawmill one. As soon as you can get to the sawmill, nothing pops up. It's broken. It's broken until you do that quest. Then the quest just automatically completes when you get it. And Deacon goes, man, I'm going to have to take out this horde. Cutscene ends. Yeah, I took out this horde. And the thing
I just
pops
meant
up.
that they should probably layer these in earlier in the game and like scale them, where it's like, you run into a smaller horde earlier, and it's like, that way it's not the very end of the game. Do 3 of them.
Build your character entirely differently, have a different gun.
And I'm not suggesting making you run into that horde and making it possible so then a schizophrenic cutscene plays.
Well, here's the thing. The whole every part of the game that involves the hordes was made like was conceived near the start of the development. Then they made a different game.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say in all likelihood they did.
Yeah, because
before.
that's the first thing they show is that sawmill one, where it's like there's so many different contraptions, interactables. There's so much more to do in the game's mechanics there than anything before it.
And that they showed that 3 years before the game came out.
Yes.
Very 7th gen, where it's like, this is what our game's about. Oh god, this isn't nearly as cool as we thought it was. Let's marginalize it in our own game. Except for like 3 points.
I don't even know if that's necessarily the decision they made. I think at some point, because if you watch the E3 one or you engage with the sawmill one in the way they envisioned, which I absolutely did not. I have pipe bombs, you fucking idiot. Why would I play around in your death playground when I have pipe bombs and the problem's solved?
Yeah, you get them to chase you, and then you just start throwing grenades and pipe bombs at your feet, and they're directly behind you, so they just kind of they get hit by my giant fart bombs.
Yeah, I immediately learned that in that small village. When the pipe bomb could take down more than anything else. I'm like, why? Why would I engage with anything?
But the napalm Molotov is the coolest shit. So you're like killing dudes with a machine gun, and the voice line's like, dude, the Molotov's working. I'm like, I haven't even pulled it out.
And that's the thing that drives me nuts. But as I was saying, you engage with the sawmill. They built shitloads of weird mechanics into it. Like, okay, this thing will block a door, and this other thing will let lumber, like logs, loose, and they'll run down. This thing operates a crane. You can crawl up, get onto this thing, and do another thing. You can light these on fire. You can do all of these things.
And then bombs. Just there's just like gas canisters and other stuff that's like lead them down this chokehold and shoot it.
Yeah, it's like none of this matters. I have the Chicago chopper.
Yeah. The only thing that really matters is like gas canisters, where I'm like, okay, I'm coming up on this route. If I run this way, when they're right behind me, I can set this up. But sometimes they're like bodies get in the way, and then I die, and then I want to rip the game in half.
And then here's another part of it. Like Bob was talking about it a lot, and it definitely was a problem when I was playing too. These fucking enemies can psychically know where you are if they take damage.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yup.
You shoot a burning barrel, or like a red barrel 2 miles away.
Yeah.
You have a silencer on your gun. It blows up. They look at the barrel for 1 second, then run at you
Instantly.
Yes. And there were times when I was doing my runs of that first Horde fight while you two coached and watched and laughed, where at some points, Deacon starts screaming at them like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, no, that happens.
Yeah, for some reason he's scripted to scream at them.
Yeah, I'm like, stop
Yeah,
it.
he does that in some encounters, like against normal people. He'll just scream, yeah, how does it taste? And I'm like, bro, they don't know you're here.
Yeah.
I've killed 4 guys with this sniper rifle from 8 miles away.
So something that we learned was since I was playing on the easier difficulty, because I have other shit to do alongside playing a 30-hour open world game.
Let me tell you about easy difficulty. I started this game and I fought like my first random bandits, and I saw how many bullets it took center mass to take down one enemy, and went, fuck you, and turned it to easy mode.
Yeah, I just need to get through the game. We'll do it like that. Then we hit those hordes, and I lost my third attempt. And Dan and Bob were shocked to learn that if you lose 3 horde fights, a pop-up goes, you can press this button to skip this segment.
And it doesn't do that on normal. On normal, it just goes, do you want to go to a lower difficulty?
And I stayed the course because the first horde, we got through it. It was fine. Second horde glitched for me where all of them turned and started circling each other and creating an island of bodies but weren't moving toward me. Like they walked halfway to me, then started doing donuts, and then I just kept shooting them, and then they all died, and then the horde was gone. Then that third one, I'm like, I'm so close to done. I can't deal with this anymore, and this seems even harder than all the other ones for me. I'm just going to skip this. I can't.
Like after the way I did the first one, I went to the sawmill and tried it a couple of times, and I realized there is no reason for them to know where I am. I broke line of sight 20 seconds ago. This is bullshit. I'd have to change my entire build to do this.
If there was like
I do not feel bad about skipping it.
If there were sight lines in this, maybe, where I'm like, I have a good way of gauging where they're looking, you know, beyond them being marked and them going, oh, like even in shitty stealth games I play, like Vampire Rain, I can at least like track where the sight line's supposed to be here. But here it's just like, whatever. They've just decided that they see you. Sometimes I'll spawn in an area and they're immediately attacking me from halfway across the map because, I don't know, they smell me from 50 yards away. And I was like, I can't deal with this anymore.
I just like the horde, the way it moves, the fucking music they play when you're near one.
That music's so bad. It's so bad.
I love it. It's terrifying.
Which apparently they found out, we found out through like various interviews and video content. The composer for Days Gone is the one that did the soundtrack for the 2 Purge movies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Apparently.
What a step down.
This is one of those games where I'm like, oh man, this horde mechanic would be cool if I had a combat system that could handle it.
Yes.
Oh, man, what was the first version of this game like?
Apparently, and you know, we brought this up early on in the first Days Gone Spoilercast. We'll bring it up here again. There was a morality system where you could make a good decision, bad decision. And I thought it was bad during the intro because I had seen some of those scenes where they still had those decisions in. I thought it got really weird, especially weird when you go to the southern camp, the military camp.
Mm-hmm. Wizard Island.
And you start, well, there's also Diamond Lake.
Oh, yes.
When you start doing a thing, and then it plays a cutscene as you can't come out. And the way they stress what you did sounded weird. Like it sounded extra video gamey.
Why didn't you take my job?
It was
like, what are you talking about?
It's something about Curry. Curry just sits there and he's like, good job, Deacon. You did a kickflip. Like, it's just something about the way his acting worked made me go.
I feel like he was supposed to have 2 or 3 different exits from this story.
Yeah, Corey definitely feels like there was something else going on they just cut out completely.
Yeah,
what's up? I'm a guy randomly wearing your dead wife's ring. All right, I'm a peace out.
Yes, the fact that he immediately just cuts to him going, I've figured it out. Yeah, dude's nuts. I'm leaving. And I laughed because I'm like,
okay, good. Leave, please leave this game. You're the only NPC in this entire game I don't hate.
Man,
you're a reasonable human being.
Okay, that isn't true for me because you meet a dude in these camps. The one dude who is according to the game is clearly on drugs. Who's like, Deacon St. John, how you doing? And he just sounds like the one YouTuber, Joel Haver.
See, this is especially funny because you could tell John Garvin really liked this character because when people asked him about the name Deacon St. John, he's like, yeah, there's a character who keeps saying that he was the son of a priest, you know, because his name's St. John. And I'm like, thank you, John Garvin.
Yes, but I loved that guy. Anytime he called, I was like, God, the first part of this game's so bad. Like, I'm like, this dude's calling me and I'm paying attention and he seems to be something approaching a character and they're like, he's so enthusiastic because he's a fucking druggie.
That sucked.
Yeah, I really hate that this game is written by a boomer so transparently. Like, that guy's a little weird. He's obviously on drugs. And Deacon calls it
and
out
he murders
immediately.
somebody so he can get painkillers.
Yeah, it's really
And
bad.
and here's the thing, Bob. I told KZ, I was like, the writer of this game being like they're clearly on drugs. Look at them. Just feels like when that one time it was more than one time. That gas station out in Blue Water had the boomer working overnights, and he would just look at us like we were druggies just because we were there at 1 a.m.
Right, like, no, that just means that we're drug addicts, obviously.
I'm just like, man, you're really not cut out to work overnight.
The
If
boomer.
we're going to talk about how shitty the boomer takes this whole game is, we need to start talking about Deacon St. John.
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like this game makes 115% more sense if you realize that you're not seeing an objective record of events. You're seeing how Deacon tells this story.
and also Deacon is the director.
Yeah.
Nothing
More than just Deacon, but
nothing
yes.
nothing more signals that Deacon is a self-insert for the writer/director than the fact that this happens like 6 times in Days Gone. A character will be obviously insane, like obviously deranged, evil, crazy, whatever. Nobody will be able to see it but Deacon, who sees it immediately.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. There's not a single character in this who validly challenges any boomer view.
Yeah, there's a lot of like specific boomer writing examples that came up to me. One of them is when Captain Corey leaves the game, and then Deacon's like, I told the crazy military leader that looks like John Cleese that, you know, I hated every minute of my tour in Afghanistan, but if you were my superior, I would have liked it.
He looks like John Cleese, but sounds like Alec Baldwin.
Yes, that's also pretty crazy. There was that.
Deacon shows up in camp, and he's like, Lemon, come over here.
There's the scene where you're going back up to the northern regions, and you go back to Copeland's camp to save Manny. And dude's like, I can't believe so many people are fighting each other out here in the shit. And Deacon starts doing fucking prison statistics and implies anyone who goes to jail is a violent person, so of course they'd be violent here now. And I was like, holy shit, this is the most boomer.
Boomer.
Don't forget the fact that Deacon doesn't have a smartphone and thinks everyone's looking down at, yes, looking down at their phones was Lem's cutting off society. It's like, oh my god.
And Captain Corey in like your second conversation goes, nobody kept real photos. Once the cloud was gone, we lost all our memories.
Yeah, whoever wrote this game got really excited at the outset because finally there's going to be a video game about normal people.
Yes.
Me.
and then we watch Game Informer videos of just like, here's Sony Bennett. It's just a bunch of 50-year-old portly men with motorcycles.
It's really
That part's fine. I appreciate that. It didn't have to be this way.
The fact that they're like, yeah, we're really into Sons of Anarchy. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I bet. I assumed already.
My godfather lived in a Pueblo-style house with big steer horns on the front door and drove a motorcycle, and he was the coolest person I have ever met. And nothing like anyone in this game.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's another layer. Just taking it away from the boomer perspective, which I cannot stress how pervasive that is.
Yeah.
It's every facet of the story, every character, every story event.
There's so many. That scene I just described, just quickly, where Copeland calls you and goes, oh, thank God Manny's okay. And we're like, do you have a lot of guns? Because, you know, this camp's coming. He's like, don't worry, we have plenty of guns. Especially now that the Fed can't take them away. I'm like, dude, you're 90% through the game. I get it.
What I was going to talk about is how there's a lot of character writing and stuff for the first 3/4 of this game that's just terrible, horrible, nightmarishly bad compared to the last fourth. That makes you wonder, why is this here?
Yeah, I
For
know.
example,
It's terrible writing, and also there's barely any of it.
For example, Boomer's entire character doesn't flesh out at all
Boozer.
until 11 hours in. Did I say boomer?
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Whatever.
It's
He's
okay,
gonna
we-
explode one time when I get back to base.
Don't talk about the explosion.
It doesn't get fleshed out at all until like 10 hours in when they decide he can become a character, but now all of his character is defined by he's crippled.
Yeah, they wrote it wrong where like there's this like progression for Boozer where it's he's your buddy, you're tight with him, he gets in an accident, you need to help him, and then eventually he isn't healing right, so he needs to go to the camp, and then that starts an arc. But that would hit more if you spent maybe 3 or 4 hours of doing missions with him. But in the first mission, he gets maimed.
Yeah.
Almost the entire run of you ever being near him is him being incapacitated until toward the end of the Iron Mike arc where he has that scene where they fucking fit the fucking knife to his prosthetic and he starts trying to stab Deacon as a joke, and that was probably my favorite cutscene in the game.
He's like, yeah.
I was like, this is what I want.
I'm like, this is cornbread pockets. I don't know.
Dude, I really appreciate how 2 arcs in this game are solved by Deacon just using a giant bomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
This game definitely didn't have 2 second halves that they just make you do both of.
Oh my god, yeah. It's you can hear the clunk when you switch from one script this game had to another script this game had.
The original pitch of this game probably where the final boss is Carlos, and then they switch it to Schizo, who just shows up.
Can we talk about Schizo?
Schizo is the worst.
Because he's the worst part of the writing in this game. Not just because of who he is, but for context reasons.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This game has a lot of very self-important shit to say about positive masculinity and what normal people are like. And Schizo, this, to borrow a term from the 90s, shifty wigger.
Yeah, I would just describe as Limp Bizkit, man.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that the rival of Deacon is so obviously someone who's into hip hop.
Yes,
Yeah.
how a 70-year-old man writes a hip-hop enthusiast who's like the only person with a non-white American last name.
Yeah. Sarkeezo, was it?
Yeah.
Sarkozy.
Yeah, he's a shifty, non-masculinity coded foreigner.
Yeah.
I go to
Is he non-masculinity coded? Because he's all
yes.
talking about murder and being a hard ass.
Yeah, he's
No, yeah, he's
posing.
talking
He's
about
not
it.
legit
Yeah.
like Deacon.
He's posing, and his
Also,
whole
he's
bit
a-
is he does nothing, where he's always
Also, he's the
overseeing
sexual
everything.
predator.
Also,
Mm-hmm.
he's accused of being a drug dealer instead of a real man before everything went down.
Yes.
It's very interesting because this game is very, very, everything Aggro just said. But also, Deacon is very firmly in the camp of, no, drugs are bad.
They are.
You need
They're
to...
just like phones.
Except
just
alcohol.
just like phones.
Except the
for
Nero
alcohol.
injections I put in my arm to upgrade my health.
I know. You know what's fucked up? I need to bring this up.
Sure.
Okay.
So you two are talking about your builds, and I'm like, I have barely what you would call a build by that point in the game because I was so done with the game not telling a story at first that I skipped every Nero truck I could until
Same.
later. So what happens in my post-ending playthrough is I see what happened with O'Brien, where he becomes the super beast. And he explains the sequel to me, and then I start injecting up. And I'm like, God, this makes
Gotta
no
get ready
sense.
for when they come.
Yes.
The Nero injectors are stupid from the drug angle, but I don't think I've ever seen like a power up or a collectible in any game that just is one of the first things you find and tells you the entire story of the game. It gives the entire plot away instantly.
Yeah, you
Like
know,
you go into a weird government trailer, find a mysterious injector that increases your health, and it's like, why is all these fucking zombies around?
yeah, there's that, and honestly, we did the first spoiler cast, and you showed us the secret ending, the
Kingdom Hearts secret movie.
yeah, the thing that sets up the sequel of surprise. They're all fucked up, and they're smart freakers.
Yeah, super beasts.
Yeah, super beasts.
They're the ones that we wanted.
The guys from Blade 2.
And I would have, honestly, I would have figured this out very easily, even in the game of they always wear their fucking hazmat suits. It's like, yeah, they'll take one off and they'll look like fucked up. And it's like boom. And honestly, I was like, oh God, really?
I figured
Can't
they
wait
would
for
just
Copeland to be the hero of the sequel.
Yeah, Copeland was the best character in the game.
Copeland's funny as shit because
Yes.
there's like a couple lines from him where I really appreciate, but every time he's on Radio Free Oregon, you want to throw him in a wheat thrasher.
Yeah, like all those are really poorly written. Like they're written by like an aggressively centrist boomer, so he has to simultaneously be a crazy right winger and a communist.
Yeah. I really like there was one, the first one that really got me is like everyone's into products, but they always broke down. You always had to get a new thing. It was fucked up and it was stupid. And then it ends. And then Deacon goes, I don't know, I could use a new bike right now.
Yeah, mate, it's
And then I just start laughing because he screams during all of them. And I got one that ended and Deacon goes, oh, well, here's what I have to say about that. And I hit the story point. So he's like, here's what I have to say about it. I'm here.
See, my favorite one of those Copeland Radio Free Oregons is when he goes like, the government's bullshitting us. Everyone's bullshitting us. They're all lying. They're so full of it. Fuck them. And then it ends. And then Copeland's like, what? Or Deacon just goes, Copeland, you don't know that, but you are right, actually. I just found
like
out
you
in this
can't-
story set piece.
You can't have a character who's like a crazy conspiracy theorist in your game where the government ended the world with a zombie virus. Like you can't you can have that character, but you can't have your protagonist be like, what a lunatic. I can't believe he believed that. Time to go into the black chopper room and get a mysterious injector.
Like that. Like, so many missions are chase the black helicopter.
Yes.
I mean, that's the funny thing, though. Deacon's the dumbest man alive.
Yes, he is. Yes,
I mean,
he is.
if you need a reference to how he's the dumbest man alive, look at both speech scenes.
Oh,
Those are the funniest things in the whole
like,
game.
It's like Iron Mike's dead, and there's a crowd of 25 people across a parking lot, and he's like, "Shut up, shut up." Okay, Iron Mike is dead. It's like no one's hearing this, dude.
Right?
Raise your voice, and he never raises his voice on either of the speeches. It's very weird.
I think the funniest one is the end of the game speech. Is he's
Yes.
wandering around the bonfire in this gigantic camp,
He has
slightly talking.
He has the stage presence of the husband sent to the grocery store for the first time checking his list. I seriously have dealt with customers with the exact level of energy Deacon had during that speech, where they're just like, tomatoes, yeah, okay, yeah.
Better crop.
What the fuck is cottage cheese? Yeah, okay.
Patage?
They probably have that over. Yeah, and that's his speech. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is going on?
But he threw the flag into the fire, so it's all
And
good.
that's when people lost it.
Yeah, so he had them hang on every word before that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, when all the people on the motorcycles come up and go, your first speech moved more people than you thought. I'm like, fucking what speech? He just kind of rambled a little bit and then cried.
I don't think I've ever seen a kid in any class ever stand up in front of the class and be that bad at speaking as Deacon in these cutscenes.
I was like, clearly, what's her name gave like a backup speech after my dumbass wandered off.
Yes,
So-
Ricky.
Nikki?
Ricky.
It's Ricky? It's not
Yeah.
Nick? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ricky.
Okay.
Ricky and
I made a lot of
Addie?
mongoose jokes during
Yeah,
the
Ricky and Addie.
Wait, you made a lot of what jokes, Aggro?
mongoose.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So my favorite moment of Days Gone, and the moment where I became really convinced the director has some sort of brain damage,
Okay.
is when you get the flashback of the security guard at his wife's work being a dick to him.
Uh-huh.
And that guy survives the apocalypse solely so he can be a murderer, so Deacon can kill him and you can feel justified in murdering him.
Oh, I love every time Deacon needs to out loud justify murdering someone.
That level of pettiness, I have to assume that's somebody the director has encountered and kept with him, because I've said this before, that like the way like a veteran talks about the horrors they saw in wars, how boomers remember retail workers who were rude to them.
Yeah.
That was one of his. Like, this person needed to die for being evil, for telling him he can't go through the express checkout with 20 items.
Yeah,
It's 15 or less, sir. I'm sorry.
there is a real boomer dad energy to the guy at the gate told me I couldn't come into my wife's job. It's intense. The storytelling in this game's intense. And it doesn't end with the cutscenes. The important thing is, like, every time Deacon comes up onto the camp, he's just like, oh, the rapists, they all gotta die. And I'm like, Deacon, I haven't even seen them yet. I don't know.
Right?
Do you know that they're rapists, or are you just saying this out loud to justify your murder spree you're about to start?
It is weird how every single group of people he finds that isn't one of the set camps, he instantly knows are killers and then murders all of them, and then it pops up protecting the weak, slightly more complete.
Yeah.
Ugh, squatters. Like, you live in a fucking ranger camp.
Yeah, I don't know what his fucking deal is. Everyone regards him as a drifter, but every time they go, hey, we saw some drifters, he goes to their camp, yells that they're rapists, and kills them.
Like, Jesus, were they wearing hoodies?
Yeah, I know. Is this a Ubisoft game? What the fuck's going on?
Man, for the first 4 or 5 hours, I could not shake the impression that I was playing someone had tried to smush together The Division and The Last of Us.
Yes. You're the new sheriff in town.
You're the new Joel in town.
No.
I
You're also
can't be sure of this. I might be wrong, but I'm really convinced, or not convinced, but I swear to God, that protecting the weak storyline thing was not in the game at launch.
Really?
They added that category. I think they added that category later to make him look better.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Because it seems strange to me replaying it. Like, I don't remember ever seeing this category of story missions. And I played through the whole game at first.
All of them kind of just feel like hilarious in a way where it's just, we're adding little mini arcs, so it feels like you're doing a lot of things where it's like, oh, here's the one for the girl that you sell into slavery that Deacon knows, but kind of acts like he doesn't know when he's approached about it, but does know, but is confused.
Lisa.
I actually never finished that one. I never took her to the camp.
Oh.
So she just shows up later, and we're kind of acting like I fucked her over.
What? Okay, that's really
That's not
funny.
mandatory?
Wait,
how
that
do you
shit was
skip that?
mandatory. How's that mandatory? You rescue her from the house, you bring her to Tuck, and she's like, and every time you go back, she's like, I hate this. All they do is make me work 18 hours a day, and I'm in hell.
I'm like, yeah, you're in a camp run by a Walmart manager or a lunch lady.
And then later they finally go, yeah, so you're selling more people to the slave trader? And I'm like, wait, what? Oh. Because then you have to rescue her from rippers that maim her, and then you bring her to the Iron Mike camp, and then they send her out on a job that gets her kidnapped again.
Yeah, that is the one part of this game that I'm like, really?
Yeah,
that's what you wrote? That they immediately...
The Iron Mike, her going to Iron Mike is insane because it was less than 10 minutes they send her on a mission.
Yeah.
Like,
They
what?
have a farm.
And they're like,
Yeah.
we need to get work done somehow. I'm like, you don't send Boozer out.
Yeah, you don't send Boozer out. There's all these people. You have a fucking farm.
Yeah, it made no
and
sense.
you can't pretend you didn't know she has massive PTSD right now. You convinced her to come to Iron Mike's camp because of fish.
I did not get that at all. It made everyone in Iron Mike's camp seem bad. It
Yeah.
made them seem like they were actually going to be villains too.
Yeah,
but
you
no.
fucking leave fucking Tuck's camp, and then it says Tuck's camp part 2.
The good Denny's, parentheses, still a Denny's.
Right? It's like, come on, Ricky. This is your one job. Like, the Deacon's still all happy about her helping. Afterwards, after she's already lost the girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't feel good.
It's so ridiculous just so she can come back when you're captured in the Ripper Cathedral. And then she helps you get out, and it's like, they'll kill you. You don't have to come with me, just run away. Which I do like how she doesn't want to go with you, because every time that happens, something bad happens. She's like, not again.
Which, oh man, sneaking out of that giant Ripper complex. I actually, after the first couple times it happens, I hung out there for a while doing some testing.
Yeah.
And whether or not you are spotted is entirely arbitrary.
Yeah, that's every stealth section in the game. That's
Yeah.
every single one of those things where you have to fucking track the guy or stalk the researcher.
I mean, you remember that part where you go to the crashed airplane in Ripper territory to fight the Breaker and get the special drugs?
And Master Blaster is there.
Yeah, and Master
that first boss fight, I almost quit. Like, I had my phone up. I'm like, how do I tell Dan I just can't play this fucking game?
Wait, what? The first Breaker?
Yeah, the Breaker.
Oh yeah, I came into that with 0 health. So he one-shot me on every hit, so I had to basically perfect dodge and run every time. And I eventually got it, but I was like, I'm playing this on easy, and it's still the most insufferable shit in the world.
I ended up spending 10 fucking minutes just, like, dodge rolling from his charge, hitting him twice with a melee weapon, dodge rolling, hitting him twice, dodge rolling, hitting him twice.
Yeah, that's where I was
Yeah,
at.
that's how I did it.
Yeah.
But I found the super axe that will kill almost any enemy in the game in one hit, and even a Breaker in like 4 or 5. So I'm like, okay, he's dead now.
So that encounter was what inspired me to get the skill that says, hey, if you're stealth, you can just hit triangle and kill a Breaker.
Yeah, so you throw a flashbang and just pop them.
So I'd throw a flashbang and immediately hit triangle and kill them. The rest of the game was much easier because of this.
I found out the crossbow actually had really good damage, so I just used that and had.
I found out the crossbow had resin bolts, so I used that on
Those,
Breakers.
Yep. They can, if using that bolt on, one of the better mechanics in this game, because you use the mind control bolt, and it gives them more health and damage too. Because a Breaker can beat one of the infected bears if you've hit it with the bolt.
Yes, the Rager.
Yup.
It feels really bad that later in the game it's like I should never bring the crossbow though because it replaces the sniper rifle and the sniper rifle's literally broken.
Yes, it is.
So you should have your thing that has interesting mechanics.
That 50 cal is like a death wand.
I never used the sniper rifle in Days Gone because there's a giant machine gun that's in that weapon category, and I'm like, oh, this is sweet. This is like having 2 Chicago typewriters.
Yeah,
I use up all one clip and switch to the other clip.
That probably makes sense for the hordes and stuff. I just, when I found out it could one-shot Breakers, Ragers, anything with the sniper rifle, I was like, yeah, I'll just use that.
It especially makes the heavy dudes a lot easier, where it's like you hit them in the head, the helmet's off, and they're stunned, so you can just immediately hit them
with the heavy
again.
dudes, you can just shoot them in the chest and they're dead with the sniper rifle. It's that powerful.
Yeah, it was only until later that I finally started thinking to do that, because my brain always goes, get the headshot, you get more experience that way.
Yeah, when I realized the helmet thing, I was like, Jesus Christ, I could just do a body shot with this fucking sniper. You gotta be fucking...
Yeah.
I do
You can shoot the arms off the Reachers with that thing.
The Reachers were very funny because there's such a pushover every time... Every time they would show up, I would do that thing of like leaping out of my chair and pointing at the TV like I'm playing an I Spy game. Like, oh, there's a Reacher, and then I would end its life in 2 seconds.
Yes.
Because they're not that hard. They take at most 15 bullets from the Chicago chopper. And those go fast.
Does anyone else find it super weird the best gun in the game is the Chicago chopper? Like, you go to a military encampment. I expected a assault rifle, like an M16 or something. Instead, I get this. And it's like, I get it. You're a boomer. You love this gun.
Yeah, that's why it didn't surprise me, because he's a boomer who loves that gun.
Yep, part of it.
The other one is a fucking Winchester 1892. What do they call it? The Badlands Big Game? Which is that's what I ended up with. And yeah, no, that gun is great because it's this real nice end game, 1 shot, 1 kill.
Yeah, I wasn't that surprised by it because, yeah, he's such a boomer. The person who wrote this is just...
But yeah, there's no M16s in this game. There's no AR platform.
Yeah.
Heck, every one of those submachine gun style things are submachine guns. They are not assault rifles.
I mean, yeah, there's like a Steyr AUG and that weird HK thing, but like, why the fuck are there so goddamn many AKs in Oregon?
Yeah, you can't even buy one. Just every enemy has one. I used that for most of the game. Until I got this typewriter.
Yeah.
Like that is some serious brain rot, like, oh yeah, I've made a game before enemies have AKs.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you talking about? These are just the people who made Siphon Filter.
Oh my god.
I did like that one question segment we saw for Days Gone, where they Game Before asked him, when's the last time Sony talked to you about Siphon Filter in a serious manner? 19, and then it cut.
Yeah, and then they cut him off.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that every gun in the game has like, you know, a weird not real name, but like they're pretty closely modeled on real guns.
Yeah.
Except like then you have the M14, which like it's only very technically not the M14 because it's the Springfield M1A. It's just the civilian version without a selector switch. It was just the weirdest. Like, why didn't you just name it something else if you're just gonna do that shit?
Oh man, this game, it really is something in so many different ways. It's really stellar. You can put it next to every other Sony exclusive on the PS4, like first party game,
Okay.
second party game. It doesn't match at all.
No, not even once.
It's really
No.
weird. It's really weird because it's like, well, it's open world. So what's the frame of comparison? Spider-Man?
Horizon.
It
Both of which
probably
came
should
out
not have
years
been open
prior.
world.
Yeah, I don't think this game should have been open world. I think they would have had a better chance if they didn't. But to be frank, I think it only got greenlit because it was open world, because The Last of Us was happening at the same time. And this is a very good point to bring up the fact that Sony turned down a fourth Resistance game because they thought it was too similar to The Last of Us, but greenlit this.
The game that is explicitly Horizon combined with Last of Us.
Yeah, I'm gonna be mad forever about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even the same location as Last of Us 2.
Like,
yeah,
tons
it
of,
is.
there are tons of places that look pretty similar to Last of Us 1, but it's literally Oregon.
But they're in Oregon, and that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're literally just making a game in Oregon.
And I like the setting of this game. I like the map mostly. I wish what happened on the map wasn't largely boring and bad.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, like I ignored Ness for the first half of the game because I didn't want to engage with this game that I fucking hated. And driving around on the motorcycle was like my favorite part of this game.
Yeah,
Like, this
once you get
landscape is
some
gorgeous.
upgrades, so the motorcycle feels good to drive at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you get used to the motorcycle, and it's actually a really good vehicle. I ended up really liking it.
yeah, especially on PS5.
Yeah.
I can't imagine because
It felt
like going full speed on the motorcycle, the PS5 chugged sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I did enjoy sometimes to get to certain like Nero upgrade things. They're like, it's impossible to hit this, and you look to the left and there's one small ramp. And then you're meant to like go around that and shoot and jump a big gap.
Yeah. I'm glad this game got the PS5 update. I'm not sure how I would have dealt with 30 frames per second Days Gone. Yeah. Because it's
And then with the
rough.
PS4 screaming while you do it.
Yeah, also just dealing with it now and just going, oh my god, the crazy guy's name is Cope.
Yeah, that's
God
even his
damn it.
nickname, yeah.
God.
In the credits, they literally say his first name, Copeland. I was like, that's pretty good. But yeah, no, like this like, as I said, the gameplay itself doesn't lend to the Horde stuff, and they tried to solve that through level design, you know, for the Hordes.
Yeah.
Where the sawmill and the other things are pretty well engineered, pretty over engineered for the mandatory ones for the story mode, except for the one that's just a hole in the ground, which is the easiest one in the game because they just have explosive barrels all around this hole in the ground where they're all shitting and pissing. You're like, oh, okay, cool. God, shoot these, and if they start chasing me, I'll run down the road.
I'm just remembering parts about the gameplay in general that upset me.
Okay, shoot.
Use your melee weapon. That means you cannot reload with the reload button now. You have to switch back to your gun to reload it.
Oh god, yeah, you do.
It's the worst thing ever. I have no idea what's wrong with their head.
I'm sorry, Bob. It's not the worst thing ever. The weapon wheel is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you
you're
mentioned
right.
that earlier. Has anyone ever encountered
No.
a worse
No.
weapon?
No.
I've spent most of my time since playing that game thinking about
And
that. I'm
never
like,
is it more obvious than in the Hordes when you're like, I
The
have to
number of
swap the
fucking
things
smoke
quickly.
bombs.
yeah. Yeah. I would sit there and be like, throw this stone. And then it would show the distraction thing, and it would say 1 out of 6. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just selected a rock to throw. And then I would throw it, and it would be a smoke bomb. And I finally realized why it does this, okay?
Okay.
It's fucking insane. When you push down and to the left on the right analog stick, it opens up your distractions. Now, the default one it will be on top of once you have done this is the stone. If you let go right then, though, it does not count that as selecting the stone. You have to wiggle the stick to let it know that you're aware that you arrived at the second layer of menu and then leave it on the thing you were already highlighting. Select throw a rock.
What a great video game.
I have a skill that lets me stealth kill anyone I hit with a rock. Do you know how upset I was? It is so bad.
Yeah, everything about the radio menu, and it slowly becomes worse, especially when you deal with, I think it's the ambush camps, where you learn how to craft more things, so the medicine section gets like 6 more things, and I'm like, I'm not going to use the fucking health cocktail.
I mean, I'm be honest, I don't know why, but I
figure
almost
out what they did.
Yeah, I never got that shit. I got like 2 stamina cocktails, maybe 3 the entire game.
Yeah, the stamina thing is like it tries its best to stay at a certain amount of like 25 stamina and regen up to that. And the health one's just you have regen for a little bit. Like, like your health counts up, which is good when you like take a hit that brings you to 0 and then it brings you back up to 1. And it's like, I can now take another hit.
But can you even craft those?
Yes.
Yeah, you just need to get
as
your XP eventually.
As you do more camps, you unlock more things because then you have to find their bunker after you clear a camp and you open it up, you go down and you look at their plans and then you get a new craftable.
It kind of kills me that every one of these camps has a bunker. It's
Yeah,
are bunkers this common in Oregon? Or
I guess.
Or do they all build them after the apocalypse, which only happened 2 years ago?
I mean, yes, they talked about it in that one Copeland segment. He's like, the bunkers are important. They'll keep you safe. And then Deacon goes, I killed everyone here.
I killed everyone in
Yeah,
this bunker,
great.
Cope. How did that work out for them?
Sometimes you're like, yeah, Deacon, you tell him. Oh no, what's happening to me?
Wait, Deacon, is the moral here that no one's safe from you?
Speaking of finicky controls, it's a 3rd-person shooter, so you can hit a button to swap which shoulder you're on.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I forgot it was in there.
I have played games where you can't do that, and it made me want to stab someone, because why the fuck would you do that? When you have a sniper rifle and you're scoped in, the angle of that scope picks a shoulder. You cannot switch which shoulder that scope is on.
No way.
What?
When you're aiming down with a sniper rifle. So you have to switch to another gun.
Yes.
Oh,
To
no.
switch your shoulder and then switch back.
You're right.
God.
You're absolutely right. I ran into that once or twice, and I was like, wait, how the fuck do I? No way.
Oh, yeah, another awful control thing. How often Deacon will just miss with the melee weapon?
Okay, that's something I did want to bring up where I noticed that if you're like using the knife, after the 3rd hit, you will always miss the next one.
Oh, I didn't even not talk about the knife. I didn't know. I never used that.
The boot knife.
I never used it.
Yeah, sometimes I didn't have the melee weapon. I always noticed there was a rhythm, and they had programmed it.
Yep.
That you would always miss on like after your first like opening like 3. I didn't get the thing that gives you a longer combo for reference. So I knew hit 3, roll, go into the next set because I know that'll hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, that's tech. You're furthering the Days Gone community.
I'm always happy to help them.
They need it.
FREAKERGANG.
They need as much as they can get. That's for fucking sure.
Yes.
I saw that skill that was like double the damage of the boot knife. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, right. Like,
Yeah,
who
right.
cares?
No, because I had the superior mace
Yup.
and could repair it with scrap. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I am done. I have a baseball bat that looks like it was full of saw blades and somebody squeezed it.
You're like they looked at Dead Rising and said, I will take that.
Meanwhile, I was just like, this is what Hellraiser would play baseball with. I don't.
God, because when I got it, it was just the mission that takes you from Diamond Lake to Wizard Island. It was just like on a bench.
Yes, that's the same one I got.
Yeah. So I'm like, let's talk about my dead wife. Hey, cool mace.
Yeah, it literally is that mission. Yes.
Yeah. I repaired that thing all the way until I was 95% through the game and then accidentally broke it.
What does he tell? Damn it. Who's the guy who runs Camp Diamond
Curry.
Lake?
Yeah, he says that his wife is Beth.
Yeah. Doesn't he have
Sarah Forever
His
tattooed on his neck.
Tattooed on his
fucking
neck?
neck. Yes.
Yes, this game might be the stupidest game ever made.
I kept waiting for Corey to be like, so then who's Sarah?
Right?
But somehow Corey doesn't know Lieutenant Whitaker's first name.
I was so like fascinated of where it was gonna go when you arrive and you meet this dude, and he's wearing that ring, and I'm like, oh man, is this like, you know, that whole thing of like when people come back from war and it's like, no, she just got someone else. And that was going to be like
Right.
the twist. And then it just turns out he's like, no, I just kept it.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a
Why
strong.
does he have her ring?
Yeah, they don't
He
explain.
thought it was cool.
They
Yeah.
literally,
but,
like,
no,
he's
they
not
sort of
allowed to
explain.
have that
they
shit.
do
They
explain
sort
that
of explain.
They explain why the ring was taken from her. They don't explain why he took the ring from that pile.
yeah, you
Right.
just
They
assume
do.
he thinks it's cool.
What
They do. There is tertiary ambient dialogue where he's like, "Yeah, it's cool, and I was high up enough I can get away with it." That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Man.
Yeah, it's a cool ring that can turn it that makes the loading screen look like you're playing some like fucking Western RPG with swords and sorcery.
It's literally the Lords of Shadow loading screen. They're just.
Oh, speaking.
it's the
Oh,
same
I'm glad
fucking
you
thing.
brought up Lords of Shadow, Dan. Remember when you guys streamed Lords of Shadow: Mirror of Fate?
Yeah.
Aggro was there.
Yeah.
Remember when you looked at the camera pleadingly and said, "It makes sense. It makes sense. Please, why won't you take our game seriously?" That is 40% of the dialogue and missions in Days Gone.
I mean, if you think about it, that's what Deacon does every time he runs into a Raiders camp or a Drifters camp.
Yeah.
It's just like, it makes sense. The genocide I'm about to commit makes sense.
I was stunned. I was stunned how many of these missions are like, we have to explain why there's this many zombies here, why people can't set up their camps in places where there's already structures, why the freakers aren't starving to death.
So here
We have to set all of this up because we have to let you know we're smart.
Here's the thing that bugs the hell out of me, okay? Writing wise.
Uh-huh.
What I guess it's a thing, not the thing. Iron Mike is the most. He's a straw man.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to phrase this.
I don't like anyone in that camp.
Like Iron Mike is supposed to be like, hey, give peace a chance, but to such an insane degree where it's like, and this is my least favorite part of the entire game. This one moment. The Rippers are in the lake camp. They are killing people at Iron Mike's camp. And then they hear a sound, and it's like somebody called a timeout at football, and they all stop shooting and stabbing each other to go, what was that? And then one of the Rippers goes, Iron Mike just declared a peaceful peace. And everyone goes, what? And I go, what? How does that make sense? They run off. They then cut to you doing that in that building.
Yeah, that
It's like, what? Then what? You sounded the bell like it had already happened, but it didn't already happen. And already that's insane and unrealistic.
Yeah.
But now we're having the moment that caused that happen now. And I'm just sitting here like, is this another moment with the morality system?
Yeah.
Is this another moment where
Oh.
something could have split down a different way that made a little bit more sense chronologically?
Yeah, and and then you have that meeting in the building between the Rippers and their leader with Iron Mike. And for me, the floor didn't load, so it's really like there's
the floor never loads.
Yeah.
It loaded,
It loaded
for me.
for me.
I'm a parent. Oh, okay. Me and Bob, it loaded for.
It loaded for me in that cutscene. There was another cutscene where it didn't load in that.
Guys.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just a really high chance.
Yeah, it's back and forth. There's one cutscene where Schizo takes you into what I later learned was like a closet in the basement level.
Oh.
Yep.
But nothing loaded. So it was just me and Schizo ground level in the giant empty interior of the cabin.
Okay. So the mission where you're stealing the explosives to go drown the Rippers like rats, it just broke while Deacon was carrying the crate. And there was like an invisible wall blocking the door to Boozer's cabin where we were going to set up the bomb. And I'm just like, I can't continue. What do I have to? I had to turn the PS5 off, turn it back on, and start that mission over.
Yeah, the deloading stuff's really funny, where I constantly got it in various scenes. And then one time I didn't get it, I'm like, hey, it's fine. Then I hit continue, and I was in that building in gameplay, and everything deloaded.
So that's the insane thing. I didn't have this problem once in my entire playthrough until the small village where you do your first horde. If you recall, there's a building towards the back where the horde is really close to, and the front is completely boarded up. The back, you have to jimmy the lock open, and it's up on this porch. And when you open it, it's a home. That was an empty fucking shed of a home for me with a cement floor that was 5 feet lower than it should have been. And I was just confused.
Yes.
I was like, who the fuck's so concerned about someone getting into their weirdly huge shed? Because it was the first time that it happened. I was just like, this is insane. So when KZ hits that point, I'm like, KZ, get into this house. And he sees a home and my blood runs cold. Because... what?
Yeah, this game was so buggy for me. I posted so many clips of. I had this glitch where the character and interactables models disappear. So I just started running, I looked down. I looked to the side to like my Twitter feed or something, and I looked to the right, and I go, "What happened? There's nothing on the screen, but I'm moving." And I see oh my God, I can see my shadow. I get on a bike and I'm just an invisible man on a bike. And then I start running down a hill and I'm about to do a jump and the bike disappears. And then all you could see is my NOS coming out, like my nitrous coming out of the bike. And then I also hit stuff where I would flicker in and out, where the model would come on and off. And then that also happened to enemies. Or I'm having a conversation with someone else on a bike and it's two bikes that are just moving by themselves talking.
Yeah, these were the days where you were gone.
Yes, clearly.
Yes, I watched that one clip Dan had gotten of him riding a bike, and then he explodes, but the bike doesn't.
Yeah, they threw a Molotov cocktail at point blank. So all I see is a fire explosion. Sam disappeared. Sorry, I keep calling him Sam because eventually I got tired of calling him Deacon Days Gone.
Yeah.
And so it mutated into the actor's name, Sam Witwer, so I just come calling him Sam for the second half of the game.
And then you'll just start saying that to me in normal conversation while also calling Ricky Daria, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Look, if she wasn't wearing the green jacket, everything would have been fine. But yeah, just an explosion of fire happens. Deacon's gone. The motorcycle's still there, smashed to black, and I'm like, what happened?
It's that, and I'm riding the bike, and Bob watched this clip happen in real time of, here we go, we're gonna take on this horde. I slip off a hill, bounce, lightly hit a tree, and it instantly kills me, and my arm just fucking snaps into rubber. The slightest driving through anything that's maybe steep just immediately kills you and whoever's riding with you.
Yeah, Sarah was on the back of my bike once, and I tried to ride up a mild hill, and she fell off and died.
It was tragic.
Very GTA 3 energy.
Yes, actually.
I was riding Boozer around at one point. I see an enemy off in the distance. I get off my bike. He gets off the bike too. I shoot the enemy. He's dead immediately. Boozer runs all the way to him. I get back on the bike. I'm not allowed to drive. I think the game is glitched out in some way. But no, the game just will not let you move the motorcycle until Boozer gets back on it. So Boozer...
Yeah, he has to finish. He has to finish his marathon.
Yeah, he's run like a mile out and a mile back, and now he's back on the motorcycle and can drive again.
This is a game where things will happen in order.
Yeah.
Like I saw it. I caught some of Dan's when he was streaming it, and I saw it happen to him. There are things you can do in this game to just stack up 5 to 10 voice clips.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will play in order, and some of them maybe replay once you get back on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
God.
They were like, this person didn't pronounce the P at stop, which was the last word of their sentence, and you got off the motorcycle. Now you have to listen to the whole thing again.
Yes, and also you pick up a Nero walkie-talkie. That'll play through your controller while everyone else is talking.
Oh, yeah.
It won't stop that for anything.
Even better, if it starts playing out of your controller, and you go into their option screen and say, hey, turn off the controller speaker. I don't want to hear these dialogues out of the controller speaker. It goes, okay. And you unpause it. It starts blaring again because they don't check in the middle of a voice clip. I'm like, come on, dude.
The queuing up of voice clips is especially funny toward the end of the game for me, where I had so many that I had to listen to, and I cleared something too fast. So 2.5 minutes after I clear a horde, I'm doing something completely different. Deacon goes, I got him. And I'm like, got what?
Yeah.
Like, what did you do? Or you hit the button to entirely skip the last horde in the sawmill, and then a minute and a half after that's done, Ricky is having a conversation with you about how dangerous it is you're approaching this horde, and you're explaining your plan, but you've already skipped it, and you've already gotten the manure that you need to make the big bomb.
Yeah, I was going to say, worth noting, both KZ and Aggro, I believe, skipped both hordes after the small village one.
Yes, I felt comfortable saying I skipped it after Aggro while we were talking. Said, yeah, I just skipped that shit. I don't have time for this.
Oh yeah, I tried to do one of them, and I hid in the back of a truck, a sniper's distance away, and I threw in a tractor, and I threw a growler, and the whole horde in the back knew exactly where I was, and I was. No, I'm not dealing with this at all.
Yeah, there's like no multiple ways of dealing with it. You need a machine gun.
You think it does, but it doesn't. You think that they may have there's so many approaches to taking this out because look at this large sandbox they created, but it's like, no.
Even when you watch the E3 demo, each one of those things they built only takes out like 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it.
Like, why would I do this?
It seems like the hordes are something made to be run away from.
Right.
Not something to defeat.
Yeah.
Which I think could have made a more interesting game.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't understand.
Maybe have some sort of mission where you do the thing they said people might do, where you lead a horde to an enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was especially
like a weird
strange
game where you have stamina for running.
Speaking of which, you can't actually do that in that game for anyone who's curious.
Yeah, I figured it would cut you off at some point, right?
The thing is, if you get far enough from where the horde hangs out, only 4 or 5 of them will follow you.
Yeah.
You cannot lead a horde anywhere in the game.
Yeah, I had something where zombies killed a camp for me happen once, but it wasn't a whole horde.
Yeah, plus it was probably one of those situations where it spawned in the zombies and that camp at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
that happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's scripted, yeah.
Yeah. I think it happened twice, though, so it was scripted twice.
It's true. This is scripted.
Random spawn stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they said were going to be in the game that weren't. Like, we watched that questions thing, and the creative director said there would be bike tricks.
Oh, that wasn't the funniest thing, though.
I thought the funniest thing is him saying there'd be a final boss.
No. The funniest thing. Well, the funny fact. They were like, "Is the final boss a freaker or a human?" And he goes, "Human." I'm like, "Wow, spoilers."
Right?
But no. The funniest thing in that interview, the thing that made us all look at each other like, "Did this motherfucker just say that?" He get the person from Game Informer doing this lightning round of questions goes, "Can Deacon swim?" And he goes, "He can't swim, but he won't, and you'll find out why." In Deacon's Days Gone.
Yes.
And I look at Bob, I'm like,
Yeah, I'm pretty
I don't remember him saying, "I don't like swimming."
I'm pretty sure there's some incidental dialogue where he's like, I have a thing about water. I don't swim.
But he didn't
But he does
explain it.
It's not explained, I don't think. I don't think it's fully fleshed out. It's just,
It's funny, too, because the interviewer's even like, wouldn't it just be swimming, having soaked jeans really sucks? I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, that's good enough reason. Fucking say that. That's good enough. I mean, most of this water's ice fucking cold. The fact I didn't die of hypothermia shocks me.
Nothing fucked me up more than going on the Days Gone wiki and looking up the character of Schizo, which, and as written, is Schizo is a main antagonist and the final boss of Days Gone. And I went, excuse me, that's not what that means. He runs away from you. You shoot him once to progress something. And then in a cutscene, you slit his throat. That is not what a final boss is. That's worse than Uncharted 1.
I was about to bring up that.
That's what I said last night. I'm like, he's worse than Navarro in Uncharted 1. Where he's running around boxes with soldiers, and then you have to shoot him a little bit and then run to the next section.
This game feels like it could have been an early PS3 game, and fidelity aside, basically be the same.
Mm-hmm. That's why I put it down 30 minutes in the first time.
Yeah, it's so crazy that just that first chunk of the game, nothing happens, but it has the most cogent setup for the main antagonist, where it's like very early they establish the Rippers as this big, crazy cult antagonist, and then they're like, oh, the leader's actually this guy, and then and you,
I'm this guy from your past. Aren't you invested?
and I'm like, okay,
No.
this is the baby's version of attempting to try and like make that important. And then you take them out and you go, there's still a third of this game left. Okay, go to this military base. Here's where actual story happens. And the way they tried to change this plot by going, yeah, what if Iron Mike just didn't actually, kill Skizzo or let him die? So now he can show up here and trick John Cleese into wanting to kill you and then making this the final battle thing. Just felt so contrived and stupid.
How rapidly it built up too, of like, oh, he's doing a holy war now out of almost nowhere.
Over like over a 3-mission span.
Yeah.
Okay, this bugs me. Because they established that he doesn't know there's survivors up That's north. Established.
Yeah, because also Deacon doesn't say anything.
Except they fucking foreshadow it with the fucking girl. She's like, yeah, these people with a militia flag came and took all my neighbor's guns. That happens like the first conversation you have with her. She's like, yeah, my neighbor had a shitload of guns. He was like a what's the term?
Oh yeah, Lisa, right? Like she does in fact mention that in a conversation of like, does anyone have any guns? It's like, and I read that for some reason as Nero or the actual like feds or something, and not.
Oh no! It sounded much. I assumed it was Tuck because she sucks.
Yeah.
They say like they were wearing uniforms and had a militia banner, so I always assumed it was them foreshadowing.
Yeah,
I thought that was Copeland.
And that's the part that got weird.
I forgot about that because
so
that doesn't fit
early.
at all with the end of the game.
It's
the whole. I'm convinced the whole Ripper section of this game was come up with later, and they're like, well, what do we want this game to be about? The Rippers or the militia thing? Let's just do both second acts.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
And make this game 75 hours long.
The Rippers are such a mainstay in the game for so long in it that one, you meet her so early and she tells you that info, like, and then it's 30 hours later you run into the militia group. They just kind of it fell off me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I forgot too. Like that's insane.
The fact that you make it to that camp and you play like 6 hours and then you're riding with Sarah, and then she doesn't know the Rippers exist, and it's like, what is this? It's like, that's some Ripper stuff. Oh, this is gonna be tough. What are we gonna do about them? It's like, no, they're gone. I'm like, this was made so terribly.
The thing that really killed me about the Carlos thing, is in that moment where they do that reveal. I'm like, oh shit, 2 things are gonna happen. He's gonna kill Boozer before Deke gets back to Boozer. Or Boozer's going to be alive. Deke's going to talk to Boozer about him, and we're going to get a flashback. Nope.
No, absolutely not. We will not refuse to explain further.
The flashbacks have to be the most boring thing ever.
Remember when Boozer did a heroic sacrifice that didn't matter and was dead for 10 minutes?
It's very cool.
I totally believe that he died.
By that, yeah. Because there's no way this would be a fake out. I didn't think it was a fake out. That never occurred to me because of how fucking stupid and pointless it was in the first place.
Right. And that's
like it was clearly left over from the like, oh, hey, we're doing the final assault on Wizard Island. I hope you wrapped up all of Boozer's mental health side quests in time.
Yeah.
I bet that's what it was originally. I bet there was weird. Why else have like the percentages? I bet if you hadn't finished, made him feel better, he'd have actually died.
Audience,
there.
If you're listening to this, I really implore you to do what I'm going to say right now, because I'm not sure if anyone else watching, like anyone else in this cast, had the same impression. That ending sequence is so segmented. Because it cuts to black nonstop every time it changes what character you're talking to.
Yeah.
I sat there and I was like, this has to be there was a possibility that, either the doctor or the mechanic lady, Ricky and Addie, one of them died. There had to be a possibility that Boozer died. There had to be, because it can show many of them at the same time. But when you specifically had your moment where you talk to them, the other people wouldn't show up in any camera angle. So you're having the moment where you talk to Ricky and Addie in the ending. And then fade to black, fade back in, talk to Boozer, fade to black, fade back in, talk to Sarah. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is killing me.
Those vignette things were insane. And it did it all the way through the credits. Like, I'm going to fade out and fade back in.
Fade back in.
Just for driving motorcycles.
That I assumed was loading time related, where they needed to load each new area.
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't like we had talked about in the first spoiler cast about them stripping out some sort of moral choices and how it felt. I didn't really think about it while playing the game.
That's all I could think about.
But I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking about how I didn't want to play this. But I was just going through this and now talking about it. This is starting to make the entire percentage thing make sense. Where I'm like, I don't really see the point of this aside from unlockables or telling you how far this specific mission type is going to go or them doing this. But now when I think about how maybe their initial intent was to have these choices and so many of these like percentage-based things were so strictly tied to it where it's like, you're almost done with this, so a choice is going to come up or this thing will end early or just be like, forever dead because you like killed them or something like that.
You could easily imagine you could easily imagine a situation where Boozer just dies halfway through the game to something insanely stupid. I mean, he even gets shit-faced drunk and starts wandering around.
I thought it was going to be like fucking over.
Yeah,
for him.
It really does seem like the story thread system was a way to have a more complex graph of a moral choice system rather than just, the good one and the bad one.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I just had this idea of there are some of those arcs that some players will never see. They will never even know about this one that's about you've gotten Boozer alive, but now you got to get him happy. Maybe they don't even get that because he does not survive the blood poisoning or something like that. Like some people don't know, oh, he lives past this point and also he gets a dog.
So here's the thing that fucks me up, okay? Just real quick. This is their first open world game. Infamous Second Son has a morality system and it's a launch title, but that's their third open world game.
Yeah.
Assuming you exclude Sucker Punch's like Sly games from being open world games. As of this recording, we have not finished playing Sly. So they had experience.
Yeah.
Do you think at some point, because they had insane goals at the beginning of Days Gone, they thought they were going to ship this game with 50 employees and never scale up?
God, yeah.
Do you think at some point they were like, we're going to have our morality system to show bespoke, different, clashing cutscenes depending on what you do for our 30-hour game?
Yeah, the way you were describing it reminds me of every like Telltale thing where you can kind of see the game start to shit its pants slightly as it's about to queue up the next thing where it's like it starts running slowly so it can then pull the right clip.
Yes.
I really got the impression that for the first two camps, Tucker and Copeland, that they were going to be like a rival camp system and you'd be like choosing between them for things.
That was me too. I was like,
and that was clearly coming.
Yeah, I thought I was going to conclude one of their things and then it would be like, oh, you chose the storyline where you and Cope are free thinkers.
Because they make you make a choice at one point where it's like, where do you send this thing? And then I picked Copeland because he's like, I got to get my bike fixed. I thought that was also going to be a major part of the game, but it's not.
I find it funny that I can't tell any of these people I find on the road to go to the military camp in the South.
Oh, no.
Make it over the mountain. Fuck you.
Yeah, that mechanic just disappears when you get to the military camp.
No, actually.
Really?
Because I did most of them after that.
Oh, but they're only in upper areas.
They're only in upper areas.
Yeah. I was thinking of playing the lower area, and that they don't appear. They just do not.
I just think it's very funny.
I found some in the lower area. You can send them to the camp, or you can send them to the sub camp, which has its own reputation for some reason.
I didn't run into any of them.
I found a lot of them when because I stayed in the South for a while after I'd finished the story stuff because I was so fucking close. I wanted the Badlands big game.
Yeah.
So I was just running around down there. I'm like, I need something to give me XP, game. Don't cock block me like this.
Yeah, because people don't realize it stops giving you missions long before you get level 3 with that camp.
Yeah, you have to go just fight hordes.
You've got to clear out all the nests. You got to clear out all the
oh my god!
camps.
Hold on. Yeah. Nests are stupid. The concept is you throw a Molotov on some nest that the freakers make because all the nests are inside buildings. For some reason, they
Or
just,
caves. Yeah.
Yeah, they
or
they love carrying
or a
twigs in and
or a
building
truck.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't like them.
Okay.
And I'm like, I have to have a Molotov. You don't always have Molotovs, so you have to go out of your way to find a place that has kerosene, because sometimes you'll have 80 beer bottles and the cloth, but you don't have the kerosene. But
Especially when it's the fucking crows. and
that's
it's
what
3
I'm
different
leading
nests
up
per
to.
tree.
You hit the fucking crows where they're like, all right, for this section, you need to fucking throw 4 Molotovs at a tree, because a tree doesn't catch on fire. So you have to keep
no,
throwing them at
I'm
specific
sorry,
nests.
guys. You did this all wrong. That's why they give you the flaming bolt for the crossbow.
God,
Never
fuck.
got that, even though I use the crossbow
Yeah,
all the time.
didn't have it.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I didn't know that was even in the game.
I have what? That's like the first thing I got when I got to that area of the game. I don't even remember where you get it, but it's like, yeah, I have the flaming bolt for the crossbow.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
I-
lie
I-
down in the
wow.
street.
I didn't have
They're
that,
bad
so it
people.
just becomes me drunkenly throwing bottles, and I'm like, it takes me like 3 passes to get through one section of
Where
these
do you
crows.
get it? I'm looking it up right now.
know-
Yeah,
oh, you
like
have
there's
to
a bunch
do
of
you,
crafting recipes in those bunkers.
If you
you have to do one of the ambush camps.
Just a specific
If
one.
you-
Great.
if you perfectly land the super Molotov, you can get exactly 2 nests at the same
The
time.
Super Molotov
You have to-
even.
You
There's
have
so
to-
much buildup of
And-
2 solutions to take out the freaker threat.
And here's the funniest part. You can do that. You can land it perfectly hit the perpendicular angle on the tree. So there's a nest to the left and the nest to the right. You can light them both on fire at the same time. Problem: you can't throw the super Molotov high. It has a different arc from the normal Molotov.
Come
so
on.
there
Well, it's
are
heavy.
nests you cannot hit it hit with it.
Come on.
You know what I should be able to do? Melee the fucking tree.
Yeah, at this
Knock
point, it's
that
like
shit down.
it's like maybe we invested in a chainsaw. We clearly have infinite fuel.
I
What's up?
before we
Bob?
move on from the nest.
Yeah, sure.
It drives me crazy that when they're introducing the concept of nests, like, oh yeah, they're always in like structures that humans used to use. They're always going to be like that basically all the time. Then immediately I start finding cave ones, and I'm like, people don't live in caves. What are you doing? Like, were these all tourists who were in a cave tour? Is that what was happening?
Oh yeah, that was the funniest shit in the world. Where it's just like, yeah, did you know all the hordes are tourists? And I'm like, this is so boomer.
The tourists who were looking at their phone using the cloud, I hated it.
Oh,
They all had sandals and socks on.
they took a picture of me flipping them off, but it's okay because it was in the cloud and it's gone now. God damn it.
yeah, just
This fucking game. You know those people.
Uh-huh.
You know those people who are hyper cynical of Sony first party, where they're like, every game's a third person cinematic shooter game. It sucks.
Yeah.
I don't play any of them.
Here's the thing with me. If they were all even close to this game, I would be them.
Yeah, it's like, oh no.
Could you imagine? Because we're doing our Horizon Zero Dawn playthrough a little bit closer to the game coming out because of how busy we are right now. Could you imagine, Bob? We play Horizon Zero Dawn and there's this boomer writer and it's the most insufferable shit. And every
I'm
character is a
scared.
mouthpiece for them.
I'm scared.
Dude, no. I played through that and it was not anywhere close to this.
I kept having to remind myself that it's supposed to be on that list. This is supposed to be a Sony prestige title. And I kept thinking of that line in From Dusk Till Dawn, where Clooney is like he's got Tarantino's character like by the lapel, and he's like, "Is this what you think I am? Is this what you think I do?"
And I'm like, this is a Sony first party title. This is not something made and published by THQ Nordic.
Yeah, that actually, Aggro, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It is fitting
Like,
that
this is their Last of Us.
I tried. I tried looking up because I was watching a YouTube video and I saw that you could see how many monthly listeners you had on Spotify. So I tried to look up GigaBoots Podcast Network on Spotify, and instead of bringing that up, it brought up like our ranking on Apple, which was really cool to see. But then I saw some reviews, and one of the reviews was like, very cool Sony podcast. So you saying that right now? I'm like, yeah, that's what they think we are. They think we like this. That killed me. The notion of because every time I hear people talk about Sony's output, it sounds like they're all just describing Days Gone.
It does. It really does.
And it's because they don't play any of these games, so they don't know. Oh yeah, a lot of these are great, but this one, this one is a nightmare.
It's really quite something. It's it does not fit.
No,
It doesn't fit.
No. You know what it does feel like?
What does it feel like?
And this is a weird thing. Like Feel, I'm going to need you to agree with me on this one. If you look at the map and like the two sections of the map connected by the really thin little walkway to get between them, and the way the random freakers are walking around, and the little like you go up into the hills through a narrow walkway to this encampment with a few enemies, I swear to God, this game plays like 2 World of Warcraft zones.
Oh my fucking God. This game is structured exactly. This game is structured exactly like World of Warcraft zones. Exactly, because those always work is go kill these enemies in this area, and it's a little encampment off the main road that is usually in a circle around the zone, which is how every area in Days Gone is structured.
And on May 4th, Copeland brings out a lightsaber.
So I need to float this idea with what we've all been talking about. Do you think this game just treaded water and was a clusterfuck until like 2017, and Sony was like, "You guys have to ship"? So it's cut. It had that weird Radiant system where things had a bunch of different outcomes. It had rival camp mechanics in like various stages of not being done and working.
I assume that moment came in 2018 because the game shipped in 2019, if I remember correctly.
It did.
Okay.
Yeah, it shipped in early 2018.
Because so you're 2019 because in 2018,
early 2019.
In February of 2018, they show the morality system still in, and they say interesting things about that, which means they spent a year straight ripping and tearing through that game to get it stable and complete so they could ship it. And it is at this point I realized there is another Sony game running on Unreal Engine 4, right? I know there's Days Gone, but there's one other one.
Returnal.
yeah,
Returnal. The 2 least stable Sony games are the ones made on
weird.
Unreal Engine 4, and that's really bizarre.
Yeah,
They're just pushing it to do things that other people aren't, I guess.
Yeah, and they also, they're the ones where we're like, they shipped that too early.
I mean, they're also the ones that had a staff of like 50 people, right?
Right,
They totally shipped Days Gone with that, right?
Yes, definitely.
I'm just wondering, sitting here wondering, like, is Days Gone like BioShock Infinite, where it became an entirely different game in the last year of development?
For sure.
For whatever reason.
It's funny because with BioShock Infinite, you got to see the parts that they ripped out super directly. In this, you just got to see the morality system.
This feels like 2 games. It feels like the sequel they set up would be Days Gone 3, where it's like the first game, the Rippers are the main antagonist. The second one, this military is the main antagonist, because you jump into 2 games. A first game where it's like, oh, you learn to support this camp, and then you defeat this evil cult. And then the second one, you finally find your wife and fight this dude who showed up in the first game who was an asshole in the military.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, like, the emotional core for most of the audience, I assume, should be on that first part. But it's so poorly written
Yes.
Yeah.
that it just doesn't land.
So none of it really lands. So I'm only really like invested and like interested in the game when you're in that second part, because they wrote characters that I wasn't immediately repulsed upon hearing them.
Yeah, I hit South Section and I legitimately started having fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 That one druggie just starts talking to you. I'm like, this is a character. And then they're like, he's on drugs. And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yes.
And then like, oh, hey, your wife is alive. And I'm like, fuck you, game.
Yeah, that's another thing that like they did both story divergent points, because booze, like, Deacon finds out his wife's dead again, like for the second time from O'Brien. And like you get this moment of humanity where Boozer just starts beating his ass. And it's like, you have to stop doing this. And I'm like, oh, this is a really, this is like kind of touching and is a moment of humanity of which there are not many in Days Gone.
No.
But then like 10 minutes later, he's like, oh, it was bullshit. She had security clearance. She might still be alive. It's like they just put in both. They put in the story they wrote where he gets over it and moves on with his life. And they wrote the story where everything works out.
Yeah.
And made you do both.
And it already kind of made me exhausted with every character in that camp, where they're constantly like against anything Deacon really says or is going to approach. Like, no, you're doing the wrong thing. Like all the time. And I'm like, I'm so exhausted. Can we just leave this camp?
It's funny because I think a lot of the appreciation for Diamond Lake and the Wizard Island camps come from the fact that someone crazier than Deacon entered the story.
Yes.
Where it's just like, I'm sorry, I couldn't bring him to you. He overdosed before I got him. We can't hang him. That's a shame. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. Also, this like hyper.
Jeez.
He's like, I read the Bible and all this stuff, and they have a running bit where this new main villain, this colonel, does not know anything about the Bible. Where there's just moments where he says things that are wrong. Or he'll go, here's this thing. Which commandment was that, Corey? He's like,
it's that 8th or 9th commandment.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't fucking know. It's like this bit where it's just completely half-hearted. Like, he's just so gone and knows nothing.
Very boomer. Very boomer writing.
Honestly, I hit that part and I was like, KZ, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a military Christian.
Yes, I know.
It's a general who's quoting the Bible. They hit it fucking perfect pitch. It's so nuts that the part where this character slides off into being insane, like not normal military Christian crazy, insane crazy, is when he's like, we need to protect our scientists, cause a rock avalanche and seal them in a mountain.
I love that because I'm like, it's just the Dark Knight Rises.
It's extra insane because when you first get there, he's like, we really like the humans that have these abilities are huge resources to us. And then basically later on, he's like, we need to kill all the humans because they could possibly kill our humans that are important. It's like, I thought you were still out looking for humans that have special abilities.
Yeah, the transition into the Holy War is not done.
No, it's just not there.
It's not
but
there
it
at all.
Yeah, they off screen like the cool doctor guy, where it's just like, I want to go do a run. They're like, no, we need you. And then off screen, the drug dude fucking kills him, and then it all falls apart.
So here's my question, okay? Here's my theory, okay? Here's my question.
Okay.
Do you think he was drinking the hemlock tea by then and he just went crazy?
Like he's been drinking it, sipping it for the last 2 weeks.
Did your wife
I've been trying to kill this guy for a month. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know if I prefer that over him drinking it and then dying within 6 seconds.
I mean, it's super effective.
It sure was.
That's really
Which
good
at first I didn't get that it was poison until they cut to the thing. So I was like, oh my God, is he becoming a freaker now for no reason?
Oh, yeah.
No, Casey, this is a story where they literally cannot have anyone become a freaker.
Yeah,
like,
they can't.
There is... It's written in such a weird way where that doesn't happen.
It's even weirder because it's like even the cult that wishes they were freakers and want to live like freakers can't become freakers.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like,
that just fucking occurred to me.
Yeah.
The explanation is the virus just makes you become a freaker. It's not like you have to be scratched or something. It's airborne. So everybody who isn't a freaker is immune.
I was going to ask about that. Is that what they're going with? Is that how they think it makes sense?
Because they
they
explain it in a cutscene like before you fight the Reacher, where they describe like, oh, it affected these children like under 12 because of like the lack of puberty, and it would like instantly get like really old people.
Yeah, it killed everybody over a certain age that wasn't immune. Mm-hmm. And that's why there's no old freakers and there's no little baby freakers. There's only like 12 to 13-year-old freakers. Because if you're too young or too old, your body can't survive the freaker transformation. So you just die.
You freak out.
Yes, but the way they describe it when you're going into the lab, they act like it's airborne, but they never elaborate more than that to directly say that it is. Because you find out the origin of the virus is this lab, and one guy goes to a convention, and then everyone leaves convention being freakers, not knowing it, I guess.
Yeah. That's the story of the game, yeah.
Which is insane.
Aggro, you've been trying to say something?
Fucking newts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, every now and then, the game will try to make you feel bad for killing them. I really believe that how you dealt with newts used to be this big thing they were going to gotcha with. Because sometimes they're aggressive, sometimes they're not. Sometimes the game tries to treat you like a piece of shit for killing them. The rest of it, like, if I was supposed to feel bad for killing newts, it shouldn't look so hilarious when I do it with a melee weapon.
You know what actually is related, but a different layer of it, Aggro. You do that whole thing where Sarah seemingly judges you for how you deal with the newts, and then she blows that guy's brains out. And Deke's just like, what the fuck? I'm just like, what the okay. All right.
All right.
Dating a girl boss. I didn't even
Gaslight gatekeep.
Jesus fuck. It's really unfortunate. I wish we could have gotten Nero and Sarah, but we're too busy setting up Nero as like the like the bad guys of the next epic game.
Right.
Yes.
Can I say, like, I know Phil made us watch that cutscene for the first Days Gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spoilercast. Can I just say that even despite that, when I reached that cutscene again, it was the most tonally dissonant part of this entire game.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, this doesn't, like, I can see why this impacted him so much because I played through this game now and I'm now watching this cutscene and I'm now going, what?
Yeah, because we were having conversations where you're like, we listened to Field narrate many aspects of this game on a spoiler cast. Why did he say any of these things that are killing us?
Because he was sucker punched
because
by
we
this.
Yes, and then
because we were sucker punched
sense.
by this, and we limited it to an hour.
Yeah, and this game is dense. We're just carving through it piece by piece, like making a wood sculpture that is our commentary on it. It is just so much.
Yeah, when I finally rewatched that thing, because when we were talking about it after I just finished, you made it was like, oh, what if we have to 100% this? And I'm like, no, I'll just watch it again. I'll just watch it again and rebrush up. When in reality, it's do a couple of things and then O'Brien will call you.
Yeah, do missions and then at random you'll get these post-end sequences like with Lisa and with O'Brien.
Oh, okay.
Lisa tries to go to Iron Mike's camp and they're like, you're a fucking ripper, look at your goddamn face.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't you put bandages on your forehead or something? Come on.
Is that just how her arc ends, is she gets nothing?
Well, she doesn't want to live there. Deacon seemingly wants to introduce her to people in the camp, so she changes her mind, but she doesn't want to live there. She's a strong, independent woman. So she just wants to...
It's like the road to recovery is long and arduous.
And she wants to sell things to them, and that's it. But they at first didn't even want to let her in because she looks like a ripper.
Yeah, partly because of them. It's rough.
Yeah. What else was there? There was the O'Brien one. There's that one.
They got the rings is one.
The one where you get your ring from the military camp. So you got to go all the way back, drive all the way up the mountain, look at a box, and then you get your rings.
Oh.
Yep. That one really didn't do much for me.
There's apparently, I didn't do the side mission for it, I guess, but when you first arrive in that camp and like you're in a lineup with like other perspective people, there's like a woman there, who's like really insubordinate, and you can actually do a bounty mission for her later.
Yeah, Stone Cold Bitchman. Yeah, I did
you
that.
actually go kill her?
No.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was interested. It's like you don't even kill her; you just like go.
Yeah, I can explain what happened since I fucking did it. So you remember the first time you rescue her and how you had to shoot your way through like 13 guys?
Yeah.
Do that again, and then you get to a room that she's in, and you rescue her. And then she just shit talks you the whole time you're there. She's like, what are you going to do? You're going to take me back? And he's like, no. And she's like, you going to kill me? And he's like, no, just get the fuck out of here. If I see you again, I'll fucking kill you. And she's like, this is bullshit. He's like, you know what's bullshit? You killed a guy for their motorcycle and took off and stole shit. Go fuck yourself. And she's like, fuck you, Deacon. He's like, fuck you. And that's how the cutscene ends. And I'm like, what?
That sounds like someone he would kill at an instant in any other situation.
Well, it was a woman.
Yeah.
That's the entire moral of this game.
We could make up Days Gone side quests.
Oh, it's true. You could do that all day long, yeah.
Speaking of things that sound made up, okay, did anyone get a moment or a cutscene or a conversation that properly introduced the anarchists?
No. Yeah, they were clearly cut from the game, but still left in there.
So here's
I got a mission to go kill a bunch of them, and like I'm supposed to know who the fuck they are.
Yeah, ambient dialogue mentions them a couple times.
Here's the closest thing you get. Copeland can send you on a mission early on to go deal with anarchists, and he goes, you remember the anarchist Deacon? And Deacon goes, yeah, oh man, me and Boozer had a run-in with them 1 or 2 years ago. That was really rough. What are they doing around here? He's like, I don't know what they're doing, Deke, but you need to fix it. That's it. That's your introduction. The entire mission plays out like every mission where you just kill a shitload of people.
Yeah, and then they don't show up until like the end of the game when you keep getting sent to take them out a couple of times.
Which is the funniest shit in the world, because Deacon's just kicking piles of rocks, being like, fucking owned!
Yes.
Right?
God. What a game. What?
Because that's what political activism looks like to the kind of shit brain that wrote this game.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Jesus Christ. This is a fascinating specimen.
Yes.
You know?
Uh-huh.
Ubisoft games, they get a lot of edges polished off.
Right.
If you know what I mean.
They would eventually look and say, something should happen. It's been 6 hours.
You largely spend the first 18 hours of this game not getting what one would consider a halfway decent story.
I was feeling it's not often I play through a game, Dan, and I feel deep fried. Usually I get that from doing too much content.
Mm-hmm.
Like work.
Yeah.
Not from playing a game and going, I've played this for 2 afternoons and nothing's happened. And I kept thinking about playing the latest Assassin's Creed, where they make it so every 2.5 hours characters have gone through an arc, because they make it episodic in a way. Here they're like, we didn't write anything.
Yeah.
No, they wrote too much. Way too much.
Yeah, later. Not now.
They wrote things that didn't feel like a whole lot in character interactions that are all really bad. And this is a conversation Bob and I had a few times going through the game, and after we went through the game, is that like the stage direction for all of these mocap cutscenes is so incredibly weak, where you can tell the actors don't feel confident in what they're doing at any point. And this comes to a head for the speech scenes.
Yeah, if you told me there wasn't motion capture in this game, I'd believe you. Like, if they just hand animated these.
No.
Or maybe mocap people one at a time.
I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. That's how they act. They act like they're not in the same room with each other. They act like the earliest of early days of video game acting.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts, because you know they didn't. You know this game almost undoubtedly used Sony's high-end facilities.
Right, it's freaking, it's a Sony game.
Yeah, John Garvin himself is just like, no, we don't have to go to Sony for shit. We are Sony. Like, in an interview, he said that. And it's just like, then why is all the acting like this? Uncharted 2 had better acting. What are you doing?
It had the same energy as, like, watching the Silent Hill 2 doc, where it's like we brought in people to act out. And I'm like, yeah, this is around where Days Gone is at.
Yeah, but there's a certain quality to the Silent Hill 2 performance that Days Gone, of course, does not have.
Yes, it's something specific that they're trying to hit, and also none of those are like almost like even real actors. Like the main guy in there was there to try and get his daughter a job, and they're like, "You look weird. You should come in."
That's some good casting, honestly.
Yeah, they're like, you're a weirdo. You're our main character now.
That's great.
But with this, it's like you have Sam Witwer doing something really stupid for 50 hours.
And that's
everyone ends up coming off as in some way bipolar or schizophrenic.
Yes.
And like on top of that, right, everyone comes off as bipolar, schizophrenic, or literally they say a line and you can't believe it, like because they don't believe it.
Yes, that also happens frequently.
Having engaged with enough productions and seen enough behind the scenes stuff, you can see that moment when an actor doesn't know what they're doing because they asked the director a question and the director didn't know. And no one on set knows.
Yeah,
so then they just go through the motions of saying a line. And then you add on top of that this shit where me and Bob are like, did they even record more than one of them at once? Is it this person who's uncertain what their line means, what the history of their character is, or all these other things, and they're recording in a booth by themselves? What is this game's problem? And it just killed me the entire game. So when I hit that fireside speech at the end, and it is that cranked to 11, I almost just shut down in my seat.
I was so mad for the whole end of that game. Like I wasn't kidding when I said as soon as I went south, the game became fun. And when I realized I was about to have to go north again, I just got like petulant and angry.
Yeah, when it popped up with, and I wish I had streamed this part, when it popped up with, you're going to go north again and cut off these missions, I out loud went, fuck you, come on.
I'm just that fireside chat at the end, the speech at the end. Now, the way Dan's describing it, I'm now just imagining Senior Card Gauge wandering around a fire talking.
It's what it was. That would have been
and
better.
Then everybody cheers.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part where it's not better, because in a Homestar Runner, Senior Card Gauge would do it, and everyone would be like, what is this guy's problem? Except for Strongbad, who thinks he's very cool.
Hi there, Charlotte. You can say that. And then everybody just blows up and starts clapping.
There's a bunch of freakers out there, and they're gonna get low, brother.
I have to ask a question.
You sure?
Did anyone know what MC meant before they started this game?
I assumed it meant military corps, because
I assumed it meant motorcycle club.
The first time it popped up, he was also referencing his military history.
Yeah, I thought it was Marine Corps. You, Aggro?
I mean, I knew it didn't mean Marine Corps, but I did not know what it meant.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew she was referring to the motorcycle gang. I didn't know what it stood for.
Yeah, once they started using it heavily, it was like, it has to be that, but what could it mean?
Yeah, I literally went motorcycle camp or company, because they were always, it was coming up when they were talking about like them and Boozer's past, and I'm like, well, there needs to be a point where they talk about how they really like Sons of Anarchy. and they're a cool biker gang, the Mongrels.
Who apparently burnt a man's back off.
Yes.
Before the apocalypse.
The villain is justified in wanting to kill you and Boozer.
Yup.
You did something unspeakably horrible to him.
Oh, but no, feel that was me. So it was fine when I did it because I had motivations and reasons. Other people are just violent, murderous drug dealers and need to be dealt with.
Yeah, that's this game.
So Boomer wrote this game, you're saying.
I feel like we were supposed to write in the part where Carlos did something really bad, because they act like he did. But we need to know what that was, and it needs to be like insanely bad. And there's no way it could have been that bad before the apocalypse.
Yeah, they imply very fucking faintly. I'm almost making shit up here. Where they imply that he was involved in the thing that the leader went to jail for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they say shit happened.
Yeah, they say the
then,
leader
and then
went
he's
to
not
jail.
there.
And he took the fall for his group to make sure
he took
that they
a
were
fall
safe.
for the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're just not going to go into
Right.
God. A person could easily take the scraps from this game and make an incredible story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would even be that difficult.
Yeah, no.
All you have to do is not be a jaded boomer and have some fucking humanity in you and start writing some shit for characters. I don't
There's a lot of pieces. I can tell when a game's really bad when I'm constantly trying to rewrite it in my head as I'm engaging with it. Because the amount of times I've gone through that with Boozer and going, all right, here's how you pace it out. Around this point with this many hours in is when he should get injured. And it should be really quick of him getting even more fucked up. So you go to that camp and building that up so that you feel really good when it's like, he has a fun knife arm and he's got a dog, and it's like you feel good about that.
So you're saying there shouldn't be 5 hours straight of Boozer screaming in a room and you not doing anything?
Yes. I feel there should be maybe 4 hours of like really good quipping and back and forth hanging out with him, dealing with camps and shit, so that when he gets blindsided by a Ripper and gets burned, you're like, this sucks. I liked him.
Yeah.
Instead of, it happened immediately. My only point of reference of this character is him being useless.
Of him suffering from blood poisoning, threatening to kill me.
Yes, of him being angry at me or sad or drunk out. I want to be able to feel for him because I can recall things that happened in the past where we had a high point. But it's kind of like, you know that they're friends because they said they were friends and things happened in the past in the same way you watch Star Wars Episode 2 and Anakin and Obi-Wan talk about adventures they had off screen.
Yes.
Like, that's the closest you have with Boozer, to the point where it's like, you have to do heavy lifting in your head to really, like, appreciate him. So I remember rewriting in my head a lot how to make that work and how you could actually make that a story that, like, actually hits.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, except when he gets the knife arm and he starts hitting you. I'm like, this is a great cutscene. I really fucking liked how he, like, almost maims you in the eye.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, and that's the thing. There's no highlight to this game. Yeah, I don't think we've ever covered a game. Everyone knows I fucking hated playing Demon Souls. That had a highlight. This doesn't. It has like middle grays, where some days are a little better than others.
Yeah. There are moments, there are things that in any spoiler cast where I'm like, this is that moment that's really going to stick out of something I liked. And I think about that, and it's like one funny cutscene and one dude who talks to us occasionally that I'm like, I like that guy.
Yeah, I'm like, I got to the South Camp and things started improving to a point that seemed competent.
Also, I'd say that toward the end where it just becomes like a fighting through gauntlets of dudes, I'm like, I think the gameplay in this is all right enough where it's like if I'm only focusing on gunplay, I kind of like burning through the camps or like the checkpoints and stuff. I enjoyed that.
Personally, I don't think it feels that good for a third-person shooter. It's nowhere near like a really sharp, like I think The Last of Us feels better. I think Returnal feels better. I think Uncharted 1 feels about the same, which is a problem. Like, that game's ancient.
I don't know. This just kind of felt like a bit... It felt like it easy and fast-paced of just, like, I'm running through them, quickly popping these dudes off. And I'm like, I'm engaging this and enjoying it. And I was comparing it to something like the Killzone Shadowfall, where I didn't like the gameplay ever.
See, I like the gunplay of that. I think as a first-person shooter, it feels pretty all right. I think the problem with that is the fucking levels they made, which, you know, I spent most of that spoiler cast talking about maybe this game shouldn't be 80% bad stealth.
Yeah, where I was just
like... maybe the game shouldn't be mostly not shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, at no point did I enjoy shooting in that game ever.
Well, here. Use this as a direct frame of fucking reference, okay? Gears. That is a good feeling third-person shooter. You have multiple dynamic options that are really good. You have the chainsaw, you have good grenades that have good grenade feel, you have guns. There's an active reload mechanic. There are all these different things that feel good, and you have to think about them in the environment you're in to engage with enemies properly. This never remotely hits that level. This is not.
Okay, Dan, I see your problem here. You should have engaged with the gunplay like I did, a half a mile away at all times.
Yeah, I mean, what the gunplay boiled down to for me was like, I just need to level up my focus, and then I walk into the camp, guns blazing in slow mo, shoot everyone in the head.
Right.
It's like it's no skill to that.
You buy the best gun and you win.
Yeah,
that's the game.
You see, the problem here is you're trying to introduce all this nuance here. I'm just talking about parts where I was like, I'm having an okay time right now because I'm shooting things and nothing bad is happening to me right now.
But that's the thing for me. I feel like it wasn't engaging. It felt brain dead, and it just felt like another smooth, brain moment in this game.
The thing is, the entire time the game is brain dead in every aspect of it. It's either brain dead or a pain in my ass.
So you'll take the part that's brain dead that's not a pain in your ass.
Yeah, so I will take that thing of like, oh, that's cool. I focused down and like sniped like 5 dudes. I'm enjoying this aspect of it instead of every other part where it's like stealth through this place with the helicopter. Now sit in a bush for 2 minutes straight and listen to lore.
Yeah, they have to explain why the game makes sense.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this to you, Dan. Like, this game, it grows on you like a fungus. So during the fun part down south, I was actively thinking during some sections, I am only enjoying this as much as I am because of how horrible the first part was, and I know I have to finish it.
Hey, that's how Valve designs games.
So here's the gameplay for me feels like this mobile ad where it's just like many have failed before. Think you could do better, smug face. And I'm like, yeah, I bought the good gun. I'm good. I'll just hold the right trigger and they'll all die. And that's the thing. Like
you pull the right thing and the lava falls on the child.
That's how it feels because it's like it's so brain dead. Like, for example, they're like, these are the harder enemies. They wear helmets. And I'm like, body shots with a sniper rifle, one hit kill anything in this game now. Why did you put a helmet on that? You might as well put a Christmas tree ornament on his head. And that's the thing for me where I'm just like, there is no highlight here for me. Like, I wish there was something, right? The soundtrack, the story, the mechanics of the gameplay.
It's just inoffensive, and that's what KZ was pointing out. Is this part is less offensive than the other parts?
This game is like an industrial side can of oatmeal.
Yeah, there's just this.
The southern part just smooths it out.
I was gonna say, like, the southern part. I can see why people want a sequel to this because the southern part fools them into. Like, hey, there's a couple neat things happening here, but you just decide to drop every single one of those things to end the game here.
Yeah, there's nothing that convinces me a Days Gone 2, if everything went right, nothing changed with their staff, that it would just be the exact same thing, where 80% of this game is muck, and then the 20% tricks you.
It'd be hard to predict how a Days Gone 2 would be because nothing that came out in the final product of this game was intentional.
Yeah.
It's just what they were left with. Like, there were portions of this game where I caught flashes of somebody set out to make, like, the open world crafting survival game. They were like, I'm going to do it better. I'm going to do it different. Honestly, the way the motorcycle is central to so much of the game, and, like, I hated refueling the motorcycle for the first couple hours, but then I got a better gas can, like, you get a better gun and the game is better. Somebody set out to, like, build a better mousetrap and either went nuts or ran out of time or money and got overruled.
Yeah, I can totally see, like, what they wanted to do, because even in interviews they talked about, like, they liked Red Dead Redemption and other games, and they wanted to make something that felt more unique and more immersive, and you could feel that from the bike is important. You need to fuel it to be able to fast travel. When you fast travel, if your route leads to an enemy encampment, you cannot fast travel to that area because it's blocked off. And they wanted to have moments where an enemy traps you by putting a wire in front of the road. And there's a lot of stuff where
every time that happens.
Yeah, they clearly want this to be this thing where it's super grounded and super, like, immersive in engaging with the world, and then the choices and all of that. You can feel it, but we got it with most of it stripped out and some parts just being annoying and a pain in my ass. So I just hated it the whole way through. The only way you could make it worse is if they focused on a current Rockstar level of animations where the game just never felt good ever. That's the only way you could make me, like, more repulsed with, like, the moment to moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead it's just the melee attacks that are like Rockstar.
I was going to say, building off of what KZ said, I actually really enjoy that the fuel management was a huge part of the game up front.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was possibly the mechanic I enjoyed the most, because it made you, one, realize how important it was to upgrade your fuel tank. Two, fast traveling now isn't as easy as it would be in everything else.
Yeah, you would have to do things like,
different.
oh, I can't make it there for fast travel, but I can kind of ride it and go downhill and not hit the gas and save fuel.
Yes.
And that was important for a good bit of the beginning of the game.
That was really cool. And I, it's sad because I got the BB Death Stranding tank.
Yes, I was about to thank Hideo Kojima for making me not have to care about gas in Days Gone.
Yeah, because you buy that and it's max fuel. And you could buy that, I would say, about 10 hours in or something.
You don't get it to the last camp.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's
You get it
So
at the first camp of the South area.
Okay, yeah. So it was pretty early on in Days Gone, in as much as Days Gone is so fucking long.
Yeah, it's
like 20 plus hours in.
Now it's early on if you count it through plot because nothing happens for 80% of the game.
So this game's about 30 hours long, 32, 34 if you're talking about post-ending stuff. That was 18 hours in, so it felt...
God, that's dire.
Look, I spent every day...
That first part feels much longer because nothing is happening.
I spent the first 3 days playing this game feeling like deeply depressed as I got nothing.
Yeah, I know. That was me. I felt deep fried in my room going, what? When I asked Bob, how far along am I? And he's like 50%. And I felt like he ripped off my balls.
If they had just cut out the first 10 hours of the game wholesale, found a way to tell all of those stories much faster, and got me to the South faster, this game would get a higher score for fucking sure.
Yes.
I think this is the longest and deepest we've ever talked about any game on any spoiler cast because there are so many pistons here and they're all not firing correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a confusingly, complicatedly broken
A
game.
labyrinthian nightmare.
It's so I'm finally done. I have no more to say about Days Gone.
We did it.
Yeah, that was really what we were here for, I guess. It's also funny because when we were talking earlier about how this matches up to other Sony first-party offerings. Death Stranding has the cutscenes to really flex its graphics, right?
Yeah.
But it's open world. Some elements of it, look-wise, you could start to compare to this, and the difference would be staggering.
Yeah, you were saying Death Stranding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the geometry in Death Stranding just looks really good.
I think on a fidelity scale, that game looks better, but not so drastically better as to be like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I think it looks better than this, but I wouldn't say it's like top shelf. But I think there are some parts that I was stunned looking at it at launch.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that, for me at least, right? I can't speak for you. But for me, when it came to Death Stranding, a lot of it was art design. Like when you come up on the bowl at the end of the first region, that shit hits. Where you're just like, look at this landscape that is the ending of this.
There's so much more interesting looking areas. Like I know the world of Death Stranding.
Yeah, and I know many areas of it and just go, whoa.
Yeah, and there's not a single one of those in Days Gone. It's all just... I look at what Dan's doing. I jump into the stream once in a while, see my progress compared to his. I'm like, I have no idea what Dan's doing. It all looks identical. It's all Oregon. That's all it is.
And that's the thing.
Forest.
None of this matters.
I see. I had a very different experience from that because I refused to clear out nests, so I didn't fast travel for the first 10 hours.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I really got to know that map and the towns, and honestly, riding around on the motorcycle was my favorite part. And like sometimes twilight would hit, you'd look up at the like way over engineered pretty night skybox. And
the one that doesn't.
This environment's really pretty.
The one that doesn't look right in HDR because even their HDR implementation's bad.
Don't worry, Dan only figured this out in the last 6 hours of the game.
Yeah, I was like, I'm turning this off. Oh my god, SDR looks so much better.
Yeah, and then I was
I
like,
think I looked up at the skybox at one point and like the stars are moving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope that is not part of the story of the game.
I hope this is world building. I hope this is a glitch.
we had a conversation about how, what if the twist of the end of this game, they reveal that the Freakers are really from the demon world?
Yes, because somebody on staff brought that up as an idea to John Garvin. He said, no, this needs to be realistic. We can't do that.
And then I was like, at
so
first
much
against
better.
it, then I went, I'm only good with this if the end is you trying to close the portal of it, and Schizo turns out to be Satan in disguise.
My whole thing is if they had gone, it turns out the plague is from hell, and you go to a hellhole, and I get to see Deacon react to this. Then that's amazing.
You see,
That's just the fucking Postal 2 expansion. We're now just describing the Postal 2 expansion.
I didn't know
Where-
about the
with
Postal
Deacon-
2 expansion.
Yeah, right? Who would?
yeah, because
Just feel.
yes. Because at first I wasn't like into the idea because I'm like, so I don't need another story of here's what the concept is, and it's like, oh, now it's this thing. I didn't necessarily need that, but then when you think about Deacon St. John,
Yeah.
dealing with demons, and then suddenly, the end of this game is just doom.
I mean, he would debate Satan. Because Deacon thinks he's real smart.
I desperately need the game to do anything I don't expect.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
you need anything to happen.
Any twist to have zombies be not zombies with hell.
And
Yeah,
that's the thing, right?
anything.
If the ending of this involved hell, it would seem like all of the rest of it was intentional to make you comfortable.
Right.
Right?
Like,
Be
yeah.
the greatest twist in gaming history.
Right.
10
That's
out
why
of 10.
when people are like, man, I really wanted a Days Gone 2, and I'm like, I don't want any more zombie games. Stop it.
I think we've all said it at some point or another, but if this game had anything other than zombies, it would
Yes.
go up 2 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this was just Raiders the whole time, and it's like it's just a virus that instantly killed people, and they're just dead.
Yeah.
that would be better.
Yeah, that would
I
that
put
be,
forth the Chimera from Resistance.
yes.
Whatever that is,
Stop,
sure.
stop talking about Resistance.
No, we will never.
never,
ever.
Look, I'm still trying to find out how to play Resistance 2 co-op in 2021.
You are, and it's really funny.
This is great. Best Korean free-to-play shooter I've ever played.
Please stop talking.
Can we escape? Can we escape this fucking show?
This is your fault, right? You're the last person who gets to hit the eject button. You have to go down
Actually,
with the
it's
ship.
KZ's fault.
Yes, but also after the first one happened, you would talk, and then we're gonna do the Days Gone Spoilercast 2 on PS5.
Oh,
and you
you're
said
right.
that-
You're
No,
you're right,
here's-
KZ. You would
want me
never
to break-
take a bit far too far.
You
It is specifically your fault that I'm here, you
Yeah,
son of a
that's what I
bitch.
was going to say. All of this happened because Feel on Content said Dr. Aggro's going to join us for it. And then Aggro started playing it, and me and Bob looked at each other and went, oh, fuck! We can't get out now!
When
There's no
Aggro
escape.
started playing it, after we announced that it would happen at the end of the Killzone Shadowfall spoilercast of Surprise Aggro, you are trapped and the door locked. And when he starts playing it, I go, there's no way I can't not play it. Because one, I already felt guilty for not playing it the first time after that verse spoilercast. Because I'm like, that is kind of fucked up. I should do it. But now that Aggro's done, I'm like, no, I'm going to move in here and he can hurt me. So
It's
of
fine. I
course
had to play the
will.
game twice. I still bled the most.
Gonna be honest,
Yeah.
Phil, I did not
Fair.
expect you to play it twice. I thought you would
Well,
take
I-
that out.
I could not play this game again. I don't know how you did it, Feel. Congratulations.
I even thought about the Fringe chaos ending where he ends this spoiler cast and goes, guess what? I YouTubed it the first time. I never played it ever. The longest con of all time.
I played it twice. I considered platting it, and then the platinums were. I considered platting it as a bit, not because I wanted to plat it,
Yeah, I mean,
but like
It would have been funny.
I'm looking at the trophy list right now and have been for a decent chunk of this spoiler cast going, what the fuck do I need to do to get a platinum?
the problem is that this was my second time, so I was really good at Days Gone. So I was maxed out on all like resources for most of the game. There's a trophy where like pick up 600 items from dead enemies.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't get to pick those items up because I'm maxed out because I'm good at Days
Yeah,
Gone.
that's the problem. It did that to me too. It's like pick up 549 collectibles. And I'm like, 541 items from corpses. I'm like, what?
yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never even looked at the trophies because I knew they'd just piss me off.
I got trophies so rarely, I was like, oh, this platinum's gonna be a motherfucker.
know. That was playing through the game. It was one of the weirdest experiences that I played for 10 hours and heard my first ding.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait, what?
I think I beat the game and had like 53%.
Whenever I forget about the existence of an achievement in like a PlayStation style game, like I forget about trophies, I'm like, that's a problem. That's not good. It gives me bad vibes.
It's just weird. It's weird to play a game for 10 hours and then hear one ding.
Yeah.
And I know some of that is we did play it before. My God, Bob. Yeah, you're right. 48% allegedly of people have beaten Days Gone.
Whoa.
Well, it's 150 hours long, so that makes sense.
I'm shocked it's that high.
Yeah. I think it was the reverse of that. It's like, wow, 48% of people beat it.
Normal people like, I'm just gonna say it. Normal people really seem to like these sort of games. Like, I remember when the Mad Max game came out, which I'm sure is fucking better than this. When that Mad Max open world came out game, it was like, it got like 5s and 6s and 7s from reviewers, and then the user score on every side is really high because it's like, yeah, people just want to cram 40 hours of oatmeal down their throat.
Yeah, some people.
Yeah.
I would kind of feel open to a Mad Max open world game because I wanted this one to be that, and not have zombies in it.
Like, I'm of the understanding that I have kind of a high tolerance for that. Like, I liked Far Cry 5 more than most people who seem to have decent opinions. So if you're out there and you played Days Gone and you liked Days Gone, fine.
Yeah.
If you like Lords of Shadow, I think you're a moron. This is one of those things where, man, fuck this game. Oh, you liked it? Cool.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. If you enjoyed your time
in Days Gone to like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same where I'm like, there's ways you can really fix this for me. So it's not like it's not repugnant for me.
Here's why Lords of Shadow is repugnant. This isn't okay.
Okay.
At no point did Days Gone plot try to convince me it was brilliant.
That's true.
It just tried to convince me
The game
to want to keep my guns. I don't know.
The game basically sat there in sweatpants, man-spreading on the couch for the entire time I was playing it.
Yeah.
Drinking an entire case of Natty Light.
Yeah, I don't. At no point did it come off as brilliant. But real quick, I want to pay some respect. I want to pay some respect to 0.34% of Days Gone players who got to the second to last trophy in the game titled, "I've been waiting for this, take revenge once and for all," and then stop playing before the actual ending of Days Gone.
Which is funny because it's in the next fucking room.
No, that ending officially triggers 24 minutes later in my playtime, which means they spaced them out a little bit via cutscenes and bullshit.
Yeah, I know, but it's like that's right where, you take out Schizo and then the next room starts the end of the game.
0.34% of people who played this said no. It just turned it off.
Because they thought there would be an actual boss fight against Schizo.
Maybe they want Schizo to be turn around, see the light, be your friend.
Yeah, maybe you think the Schizo heads were the ones.
Schizo's fine.
They're like, come on, we love Limp Bizkit. We did it all for the Nookie.
That's really funny.
I bought into it when Schizo had his fake redemption arc. I was like, we're going to turn it around. This is going to be great. This game doesn't have the sinister undertones I think it does in the writing.
Yeah, I thought that too for a while, Aggro. It's a nice thought, isn't it?
But okay, I guess it's time we wrap this up. I feel like every one of us has gotten to say plenty about Days Gone for the second and final time.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not going to be annual, please. No,
that is not happening. I just want to say, the environment literally doesn't look amazing. Earlier when I was talking about fidelity, like I just meant fidelity. Most of Sony's first-party titles make you think they look like next-gen games.
Right.
Like Ghost of Tsushima looked like a PS5 game on my PS4 vanilla.
Yes.
Days Gone looks like a game.
It sure does look like a game.
It does look like a game that'll come out any old year.
It'll run mostly and probably crash 20 times.
It looks like a game that's going to come out on Game Pass 3 years from now.
Okay, keep it. Let's go.
So, we're going to have everyone say their concluding statements and then give a number. And this will end the second and final Days Gone spoiler cast from the GigaBoots Podcast Network. We'll start with Casey.
Days Gone has a lot of problems. We've outlined them throughout this 6-hour spoiler cast. There are a lot of ways you can improve this game, but its very core of an open world game is probably one of the worst I've played. But I did get some enjoyment at points on it. I feel like at times I got enjoyment in the final 20%. And I feel like parts of the low part of the scale are saved for true misery of a functioning game. So I'm going to give it a 5. I'm gonna land on a 5.
Okay.
Where it's, I can't suggest it to anyone, but I can't give it a 6 because I can like a 6 and accept its major problems. It's a 5.
Okay. We're gonna go next to Bob.
Yeah, Days Gone is like a weird, seemingly unending nightmare for most of it. Like there's no way to tell how far you are in. It just keeps going. It's like this road that's that you can't possibly tell how far you are from the end.
Yeah, for some reason, it reminds me of that scene in Thor Ragnarok where Doctor Strange does some shit to Loki near the start of that, and then it cuts back to Loki later going, "I've been falling for 30 minutes." And that's just all Days Gone for me.
Yeah,
This is the cursed content movie we watch where we can't figure out where we are in the movie because it doesn't seem to have a structure of a movie, but a 60-hour game.
Yeah, it's basically Act 1 happened 5 times.
So what you're saying, is it like a 40-hour game, but it's Cats Don't Dance?
Yes.
How dare you compare Cats
Or
to
the Golden Compass. It's a 40-hour game that's the Golden Compass.
I would kill myself.
It is very Golden Compass core at points.
Yeah.
It likes to introduce things that could possibly be interesting and then just leave them on the floor.
I wish this turned into something about circumcision. At least that would be funny.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. Like it's real rough.
Okay.
It's real rough.
We'll go now to Mr. Feel.
I really like the second time I was like, it's gonna run right. It'll have bug fixes. Maybe I'll be able to enjoy Days Gone more. I enjoyed it a little more, but it's still not good. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay. Dr. Aggro.
Playing Days Gone is like standing waist deep in a mile-wide tar pit, and every now and then a hand will desperately force its way up with an interesting idea or a section that's kind of cool. But in the end, we're all just sinking, baby. I'd say I broke even if not for all the fucking time I wasted on this game. So I'm just gonna have to dismiss it with a 5.
Are the hands asking you to get low?
The one thing I hate about this game is that Dan always introduces the terminology to me and I don't understand it, and then he's like, it's from the game, and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're in the shit, and I'm like, oh, he's calling it a shitty game, and it's like, no, they call it the shit. Or when he said get low, the Ripper term. God, this fucking game.
And Deacon says it like it's a really cool thing to say to them.
Yeah.
Get low, brother.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Days Gone is truly miserable. I was very, very honest when I said dealing with the first 18 hours felt like a deep, deep depressive fugue state, like my entire life was wasting. It may have caused an episode for me that I got through, and we're good because this game's fucking over. But I really enjoy once you get south.
When you get low?
Yes, when you get low, the game improves to the point of a passable mediocre game.
Oh, okay. I love those.
Instead of Nightmare Tunnel that my life has been thrown into from which I will never escape. Yeah, I definitely would never recommend this to a human being. If you look at my other scores, I've given games that have both frustrating lows and high highs, lower scores, and I'm going to place this even lower than those. I'm giving this a 3. Days Gone is, I have no idea. Sony published this? That's fucking weird. Like, it seems so bizarre. It's so unique among their entire catalog. Because it's like,
Yeah, it's always going to be a pimple.
it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
You can't pop it.
And now that I've beaten Days Gone, now that I've experienced it in a way where I could feel congrats for you being strong enough to do it twice.
It's called a condition.
Sometimes
Yes.
conditions make you stronger. I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what would be nice to do? And this is not a promise, audience. This is the first they're hearing of this. I would like to play through a Far Cry game just to compare.
That'd be neat. Yeah, I'm curious.
That was in the back of my mind this entire time because at the time of recording this, the new Far Cry game is coming out in a month. And I'm like, this is making me feel better and better about Ubisoft games every second I'm playing it. I need to play a new one to truly know, to truly remind myself, because I do play their games like regularly.
Yeah, I want to know. Because I've never played even a decent chunk of a Far Cry game. I think it's like 3 hours each, maybe.
Yeah.
I now I'm reflecting. I was like, man, I really have not beaten many open world games. So one of them I beat is Days Gone. Like, I picked up multiple Far Cry games and tried, and I just give up and stop before I finish.
But now you were tasked with it.
yes, now I was like, it has to be complete. Usually I just drop these things off when they get to the point where they become bad.
One might say you might have even dropped Days Gone because you did.
Yes. You know, Dan, it may be interesting one day. It's like you and me do a Far Cry 6 spoiler cast because you and me are the only ones who play through it. Would be really funny.
I'm
down. I really liked 5.
Yeah. Aggro likes 5. This made me want to die. I can't imagine Far Cry 6 making me want to die, but I'm pretty curious.
Yeah.
So I just, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I did not get through 5, but I played their lower tier spinoff sequel, New Dawn, and went, this is bad, but I
They
finished.
had the Tree of Might.
Yeah, there was the Tree of Might. And I'm like, I finished that. This next one, I'm like, this is a new one. And it's going to run at 60. I'm hyped. Let's go. Why not?
Yeah, why not? At this point, why not? You can't hurt me, Far Cry.
You can't. I just came out of the shit.
You know what probably won't happen in Far Cry 6? You
What?
probably won't open the game by your friend getting a deathly ailment that turns him into a psycho who wants to kill me at every turn. Thus developing no characters for the first chunk of it that I care about. While my main character is a psychopath ranting and raving at the radio.
Yeah. Knowing a Far Cry game, all of your friends will be brutally murdered and you just have to make new ones immediately.
Cool, sounds swell. Fuck it.
Yes.
Like, who cares? Anyways, thank you all for joining us for this journey that is the Days Gone Spoilercast Mk.2. If you like content like this, which, let's be real, we're the only motherfuckers doing it.
Days Gone Mark II isn't just for show.
Days Gone Spoilercast Mk.2 isn't just for show.
Everyone played 30 hours of a video game they didn't like just to give you one fucking podcast.
Please go
Never
support us.
say we aren't insane and brave. Patreon.com/GB podcast.
Patreon.com/GB podcast.
Patreon.com/GB podcast.
Oh my god, Rip-ers. I just got that.
Are you fucking serious? This month's GigaBoots executive producers are Esme, E. Lee Broyles, Starfalcon, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, Dobo Muito Real, Ace Gundam Pilot Adam Admar, Cooper Tank, Zilter, and Virmvarn. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these gamers. If you want to be a gamer or ascend to God Kinghood, then head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.